Cybertruck, so my service
Nice.
will probably be kind of spotty.
Oh, that's all right.
But I've got a Starlink in my bed, and I'm uploading another FSD video while I drive using the Starlink.
Are you connected to the space via Starlink too?
No. I thought the cell connection would probably be more reliable. But my laptop is connected to the Starlink and it's uploading the video.
Wow. So your Cybertruck is connected both ways.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing actually. It just points the dish up and then it just works at like 100 megabits per second, 20 megabits up. So there's no good internet connection out here, but I'm uploading the videos anyway. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Have you tried 12.3.5 yet or .6?
Yeah, I have. I did about an hour of driving before I left, and it was all zero intervention. Noticeably smoother and more comfortable than even 12.3.5. It's definitely a big difference compared to the 11 series. When the 11 series was out, you'd get an update and you'd see some minor tweaks, some minor changes here and there. With version 12, each update feels like you're seeing a animal come alive. It just feels more lifelike with every update. It feels more assertive. I saw it like cut in front of somebody when it had room to do so instead of like waiting and going behind them. So it really is incredible just with these smaller set of updates 12.3.5, 12.3.6, which seem to be coming out every week now. They feel like pretty big updates. So I can't even imagine what the 12.4 and 12.5 are going to be like compared to 12.3.
Are they adjusting the weights on the model for the dot updates?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what the difference is. I think the 12.3, 12.4 are probably bigger updates, like more of a full model retraining, while the point releases 12.3.5, 12.3.6, those may just be fine tunes of the model based on the latest sort of intervention data or behavior they want to achieve. So that's a little bit of speculation, but you can do fine tunes which are a little more lightweight to customize the behavior of the model instead of having to fully retrain it every week.
All right, great. Any questions for Omar for 12.3.6? Please request to speak. What do you think about this FSD in China news?
Yeah, it could potentially be massive. I mean, we've been talking for a long time about how when FSD 12 came out, it would be able to scale internationally much better. We've now seen video of FSD 12 running in Germany, and it certainly seems, based on Elon Musk's visit, that FSD is going to be a subject. We saw a news release saying that several brands had been approved for automotive data security, and Tesla was the only foreign automaker among those brands. So this is a huge, huge deal. Teslas are no longer going to be subject to restrictions on where they can park and where they can enter based on data security in China. So that's a pretty big deal to get the seal of approval from the Chinese government to do that. And it speaks to them actually starting to offer FSD in the country. We've seen enhanced autopilot subscriptions go live in the country. We saw the language on the order page in China change from FSD. Rumors are circulating that Chinese Tesla stores are being told to expect something tomorrow that they're going to need to give demo drives for. Not a new car, but software, they've been told.
All right. Omar's connection is cutting off a little bit. It was better earlier, but it's going to cut off because he's in his Cybertruck driving to LA. So help him out. Come on up to speaker board. come on up to speaker board and let's chat. I pinned at the top of your screens what Omar was talking about. CNWire says China stated that all models produced by Shanghai Gigafactory comply with regulatory requirements. This could potentially lead to comprehensive lifting of restrictions like those at government units, airports, highways, etc. on Tesla cars. Good news. Let's see if Christopher wants to come up. I see Tesla Yoda, Tesla Motion, Habib. Like half of my job is to bring people up here. Oh, there you go, James. It's a Sunday edition, guys. It's probably going to be relaxed, but you never know. Depends on who jumps in.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, James, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Welcome to the Sunday edition. Did you grab your wine?
No, I don't drink.
Oh, you don't drink. Did you grab your water?
Not yet. I should though, huh? I'm losing my voice.
Are you getting sick?
What's that?
Are you getting sick?
No. I just been talking to everybody because, like I told you last Friday, I picked up my Cybertruck, so
Oh,
you know how that
that's
goes.
so funny.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Christopher, how are you?
Hey, Iman, how you doing, bud?
Good. I watched your live stream the other day. That was really
How'd you
cool.
like it?
I loved it. Yeah, it was great.
I didn't. I mean, I didn't say anything at all for about an hour and 15 minutes about FSD, but I think everybody's a lot smarter on the Dallas Cowboys, Roger Staubach, the NFL draft, and how bad the Cowboys did with the NFL draft. I did a primer on AI that's probably about 20% accurate. So.
I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was really good.
Thought it was
Actually.
good. I was
Yeah,
gonna
I
ask
thought it was really
somebody.
good.
Like I did. I was actually. I mean, obviously, I was being tongue in cheek, but I was good. Like if Omar or Meta or Wes were going to be on at any point, I was if they had heard. I mean, I probably hadn't, but now that I know you have, I was
No,
curious.
I sent it to them.
Oh, really? Was it?
Yeah, I did.
So was it better than 20% accurate?
Yeah, it was much. Yeah, it was much better than 20%. I mean, clearly you're
21.
doing a lot of work. Yeah, no, I say it was much better than 20%. Clearly, you're doing a lot of work on it,
That's
and
the
you're
East Texas version of backward propagation.
Watching a. No, it was really good. It was really good, and also it was really good in the sense that things that we talk about in here. It seems like it impacts people more than I think a lot of people realize. So I
Yeah,
think that's really good
absolutely.
in that sense too.
No,
Yeah.
thanks, Yama.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, anytime. And I hope we do more of it.
Yeah, I think probably the way I look is as we, I've always wondered, like they talk about these waves. Am I the last of the second wave or the first of the third wave? And I hope I'm the first of the third wave, right? And so maybe there is a place for a knucklehead like me out in East Texas. Like, um, maybe there's some folks out there that instead of seeing folks with 160 IQs drive around, maybe they want to see somebody in Porter, Texas, talking about the Dallas Cowboys while he's not driving. And they're like, oh, okay, I can relate to that guy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think the more diverse, the better. The more diverse this group is, the better. And because, like you said, sometimes people identify with people who sound like them, look like them. I mean, just human nature,
Yeah.
And so the more diverse, whether it's like all axes of diversity, I think the stronger the group is going to be. So I hope
So
we
what
do
you're
more, and I
saying,
hope
Yaman,
so many more people do it too. So I encourage people to hold other spaces, hold live streams, different parts of the world, and different languages. Like that's one thing I think we need to do more of. Like there used to be a space with that the South Koreans used to hold. I would jump in, and I wouldn't understand the word they were saying. Every now and then I would hear Tesla or like FSD, or they would sometimes say my name. I'd be like, I heard my name, but still, I think it's very important. I don't know if that space is still going on actually.
So what you're saying, Yaman, is I'm helping out the DEI quotient of Tesla by bringing in a hillbilly from East Texas.
Man, I'm telling you, we have to have more diverse. Like I think I really want people to kind of start other spaces and do live streams and parts of the world as well. I think it's gonna be so much better for everybody. So
Yeah,
Reggie, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, Yaman. JC, we can talk about the Cowboys any day of the week.
Hell yeah, bro. You a Cowboys fan?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you know what's going to happen? They're going to go 11-6, get to the playoffs, and lose to the 49ers. I just write it down.
Well, let's start off with we will win the Super Bowl this year. This is our year. We'll start out with that, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Hey Reggie, how is FSD doing for you?
Well, I drove to San Marcos, so it's about an hour drive from San Antonio, Texas. For those who's not in Texas, so could have been zero interventions, but I don't know how Tesla's going to solve this. It's not a critical, but you know how the roads have those wake up kind of markers on the that they got kind of indented on the side. So they're doing a lot of construction. So those are the lanes are shifted over to them. So FSD just rides those all the way down on 35. So it's kind of a little annoying. So I end up having to either switch lanes or take over. So that's pretty much it. So I literally drove for an hour. If it wasn't for that small mile I had to do, I don't touch the pedals. I have to. The nag tells me to hold the wheel, but that's it. I mean, and I was talking to my brother at the time, and I was like, "Look, I drove down here with. I'm a passenger in the driver's seat at this point. I don't look at the dash screen like I used to. I was very hyper focused on what that looks like, but now I just sit back and relax and just let it drive and let it do its thing.
Man, I think the speaker board is majority Texas right now. Talk about diversity. It's all Dallas Cowboys fans.
Well, that's great.
We need some Eagles fans in here. Christopher's like, nope. That's funny. Yeah, Reggie is in Texas. James, are you in Texas?
No, I'm in Washington State.
Oh, okay. You're in Washington State.
Seahawks.
Dylan's in Texas. Christopher is Texas. I'm in Texas. Macro Analyst is in Texas. Look at that. That's crazy.
Yeah, man, I do have a question for Omar. You can
go ahead.
think about this. You can think about this question. Anyone on the speaker board who have SSB can speak about it as well. But I'm just out of curiosity. How do we tell people we're driving? Like when I see, like when motorcycles, when they see each other, they gesture, you know. But we're driving FSD. What gesture do we do to let everybody know I'm on FSD? It's a flex that I want to have, but I don't know what to say. Throw my hands up in there and say, "Hey,
wave at people with both hands."
we got to come up with something." So Omar's the OG of the FSD. He has to start thinking about that. Figure out what gestures can we do to let people know that we're on FSD.
I'm not sure people really need to know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, why would you? You don't want it to know sometimes, right? Because then you're kind of signaling, if you cut in front of me, the car will let you. So I think people would kind of start bullying. We've all seen how people treat cruise vehicles and Waymo vehicles in multiple cities. you don't want your car to be known to be driving autonomous driving, I think.
But if I see another if I see another Tesla, it'll be great to understand if they're on FSD or they're just driving by themselves or driving manually.
Why? Would you behave differently?
I wouldn't, but it's just a gesture, right? Like just like I
Oh,
just said,
you
like
just want the camaraderie?
the
Just as
camaraderie,
you're
like motorcycles.
as you're passing, I mean, you can. I mean, don't do this, but you could just like cover your eyes and like do that monkey emoji. You know, maybe then. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Meta.
The Now You Know channel guys suggested doing a two-handed wave like the Queen. That was years ago, though. That was for Navigate on Autopilot. I've done it for a brief period of time. Other Tesla owners were doing it, but that was like 2016 or so.
I guess the Jeep community, they all have rubber ducks in their window or something. So maybe we need a miniature Optimus subprime.
Yeah. By the way, suggesting illegal activity in here. I mean, I guess it's not illegal, but yeah, it's against the terms of the conditions of the X app, apparently, even in this space. So don't do that.
Covering your eyes may not be smart, but giving somebody a wave, I don't think is illegal.
Yeah. Yeah. Where is that coming from? Oh, Gianni, where are you? Are you in the jungle?
Nah, just walking around Dallas, man. Texas theme again.
Oh, you're in Texas too? What is going on here? Why is everybody in
Yeah,
Texas?
Texas, man, it's the future. Hey, I like Reggie's idea though. You know, a couple years ago, Elon said we'd have a situation where we could identify Teslas on the screen, you know, when it's looking at other cars. And I think it just reinforces the brand. And I don't know, I've always been intrigued by that and don't know why that's never materialized. And a corollary to that is if someone's on FSD, maybe it were a different shade of color or something very subtle that's not distracting. I don't know.
I love it.
Hey, Meta, how's it going? Where are you up to?
I'm actually doing a long drive. I got like 5-hour drive ahead of me. So thank you for keeping me company.
All right. 5 hours it is. Did you get a
And
5-hour energy drink?
I did
Is that
not.
still around? No?
I think it is. I like the grape flavor, so I'll probably do that. I got 2 hours to the next charger, so I'm not really doing the driving. Yeah. But I was hoping maybe the highway stack would arrive. It just hasn't arrived yet. You know, Elon tweeted that by early May there was going to be 3 major releases. I don't think we're even going to get one of them at this pace.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you make of these dot updates? So I guess we have auto park on USS cars now.
I think every single one of the dot updates was expanding the total number of cars that could get FSD, right? Recently.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And you said you don't think they're changing weights for these dot updates?
No, I would imagine they are. It'd be weird to send out an update and not send out the latest weight changes, but maybe they're not. It'd be really funny if let's say they aren't changing the weights and everybody's like, man, 3.3 was great, but 3.4 is not so great. Then it'd be very clear that, it's just the law of large numbers happening here.
Yeah, that's true. Craig, welcome. How are you? Are you in Texas too?
St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, okay. Well, you can't talk then. On the Texans. I'm kidding. Do you have FSD?
Listen, yep, FSD. Still on 3.4.
Okay.
So, doing pretty well. Just took a long trip to Florida. Just in the panhandle of Florida near Destin. It was a really good drive. Didn't have many problems at all. Made it relaxing, pretty easy.
Yeah, I tested 12.3.42 about 2 days ago. I think was it yesterday or the day before, and it did great. No intervention. Although I think I'm a bit more like Omar, where I let it do its thing. I don't really kind of take over too early. And Meta, I think you're gonna like this one. The one thing I really liked is its ability to correct its mistake. So it seems to me that it's able to see a bit. It's able not see, but plan ahead a bit more. And if the solution comes into its ability to plan ahead, like if it's plan ahead 2 seconds, and a possible solution after an error is within that 2 second window, it's able to correct itself. And I think as that window elongates, then maybe you won't even make that error in the first place.
Yeah, the hard part of that conclusion is, did it have to start going down the wrong path to see or observe others behaving and reacting to its mistake to decide that it was the wrong path? But I don't think that's necessarily the case, especially like Jan and others are questioning, I think I would say, the ability for deep models to do all this predictive stuff. You tagged me on a tweet about that. That's the one place where I hesitate to say he might be wrong, but I say that knowing that, he's way smarter than me, but I might not fully understand why he doesn't think it's possible.
Yeah, Ben Tosky asked that question. He's welcome to come up, request to speak, and ask you the question directly, and maybe we can dig into it a little bit. Reggie.
Yeah, just had a question for anyone that's on the trial version, like myself, and do you have version .5 or better of FSD? It's like we got stopped at 0.4 to 3.4. Just
Yeah, I
wondering
have
if anyone,
.3.4.
wonder if anyone has anything above that. That's on a trial version.
Okay. While we wait for that, Ben is requested to, so let's bring him up real quick. If I move anybody down, it's not personal. You're always welcome to request to speak again. I just need to, cycle through the requests. Ben, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't have my notes in front of me, but I think you guys know the video and the paper I'm referring to that Jan LeCun created. And I think, in essence, I'm trying to understand if he agrees with the approach that Tesla is taking in V12.
No, I don't. He's saying that the approach in V12 wouldn't work, just to be clear, right? I think what he's saying is that there's another approach, which he's proposing in JEPA, which is not exactly the same as mixture of experts, but it is kind of somewhere between mixture of experts and the Alberta plan. And he's saying that would allow for us to eventually build continuous learning, or I think what he was calling self-supervised learning, because there's slightly different approaches, but they try to tackle the same thing. And if that was achieved, then in theory, we would have a lot less energy needed and a lot less data needed to train the models. I would say his approach is a lot more experimental right now. Granted, Llama 3 is doing really well, so obviously maybe soon the industry starts to go that way. But as of right now, I don't think anybody's saying Tesla can't do what they're doing. I think what he's saying is, in order to do what Tesla's doing today, you need a lot of data. But maybe this other approach would make it so you don't need nearly as much data.
Gotcha. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Yoda, welcome. How are you? Tesla Yoda? Yoda is asleep. Tesla Motion.
Hey guys, happy Sunday. Hey, I'd like to describe a scenario with FSD that kind of blew my mind a couple weeks ago, if that's okay.
Sure.
So, I live in an apartment building.
I don't think I can hear Tesla Motion. I'm going to drop and come back.
Okay. Tesla Motion, go ahead.
You can hear me? Yeah. So I live in an apartment building. I've been on FSD for maybe 7-8 months. And so typically as I approach my building when I was on 11, I would always disengage, pull down the alleyway / driveway between the two buildings to enter my garage, which is near the back end of the building. And then on 12, it obviously, as everybody knows, got so good. one time I was approached, I said, you know what, I've heard about the park. Let me see if it tries to pull over a park in front of the building. And it slowed like it was going to pull into a spot on the curb. And then it proceeded and it turned down the driveway to the end of the driveway. It stopped. The sensor picked up my car, garage door opened, car took a hard left turn, entered the garage, and pulled to the end of the first lane and stopped. So I don't know how it's not mapped. It's on a Google Maps. Did it pick up through me going in there multiple times on shadow mode? There are 15 other Teslas in the building. Does it have data from them that it used? And it doesn't do it every time. It behaves differently every time. Sometimes it does pull over a park, and it is performed even better than that in cases where I pull in, I have to take a hard left after I enter the garage, go about 50 feet, do a U-turn up a ramp to the second level where I park. FSD has completed that maneuver, which completely blew my mind. I'm like, how does it do that? Does anyone have any opinion on whether it's learning from my, multiple times I parked in there? Does it share data from the other Teslas in the building? I don't know how to explain it.
Okay, Omar, did you hear that?
No, I can't hear anybody. I can hear you though.
That's the perfect world. Meta, did you hear that?
I heard the last half. I got a call in between, so I lost him before all the data in the same building.
Well, who else wants to answer that? Reggie, did you hear that story?
It was cutting in and out for me as well.
You guys are such jokesters.
So I need to start over. That was
That's
a
so
long
funny.
story.
No, I think we're good. I think it was a great story. Great stories are best told once, and we kind of let history do its thing. But long story
I
short, I
guess the
think
gist of it is
you
in
were very
general.
impressed. Yeah. Go ahead.
Do
Just
people
of it.
think does the car learn? I mean, that's the open question that I've
No,
heard
the car
asked multiple times.
the car doesn't learn. You have to mute yourself when you're not talking. The car doesn't learn on the car. There's no learning done on the car, and there are multiple reasons for this. First of all, Meta can't speak to this too, but the training compute needed is much larger than inference compute needed. But that's not the only reason. You also want to make sure that the car is learning from the best drivers, not from every driver. And you also want to do testing and quality assurance for the learning process, like extensive testing and quality assurance. So eventually, maybe there will be done. Tesla will do some learning on the edge to kind of fit your driving style. I'm not sure. Some people have proposed that idea. I'd love to hear Meta's take on it. Meta, do you ever see Teslas doing learning on the car? If so, to what extent?
I don't think they will. I think the only learning that'll happen in the car at most would be there's 5 or 6 profiles. It's called the straw man approach. I don't know why it's called that. Don't ask me further questions. But like in software, it's called like the straw man, where you basically say, here's a handful of different modes. Like we have 3 in the car now. Okay, cool. If there's a 4th or a 5th, add it. But generally speaking, I don't think humans are so diverse that you need 10 billion different approaches to driving, right? So figure out how many buckets there are, give it a name, and be done with it.
Yeah, exactly. Tesla Yoda, are you there? No. Okay. It's all right. Let's bring in Kristen, if she's available. Dylan.
Yeah, I was I had a great drive home from FC with Full Self Driving yesterday, but I had a funny situation. A guy picked up a stop sign off of the street, like the sign and the pole included, and started walking to his truck with it, and my car stopped for him. It was actually hilarious. I was not ready for it.
All right. Thanks for sharing. I'm kind of doing some moderation stuff in the background. Steve Smith, go ahead.
Hey, everybody. First time I've ever spoken up here. I've learned a lot from listening. Like many of you, I'm in Texas also.
Who did you, hold on. Who did you learn from the most?
Who did I learn from the
yeah,
most?
who's your favorite speaker?
Oh, okay. Well, probably Omar so far. I've probably learned the most from him. But I've learned from a lot. Learned from a lot of you, so don't hold it against me.
All right.
Anyway, so I'm in Texas also. I'm in the piney woods of East Texas over here. So I think somebody earlier referred to us as hillbillies, which is cool. Anyway, my question is, and I've posted this, but can't seem to get an answer. And Omar may already know this. I pester him a lot, but I had a 2021 Model 3, and about 2 months ago, I ended up getting FSD on it. Finally got 12.3, and got to the point where it was driving me to and from work without any interventions from me at all. I also have a 2022 Model Y, but it's on 2024.8, and I'm just curious. I think somebody at Tesla maybe mentioned that a couple of weeks ago that maybe an update was going to come out that would get us from 11 to 12, but I haven't seen anything on that lately. So I was just curious if anybody had any news on that.
Omar?
Yeah, there's a spring update that's about to roll out, and it's based on 2024.14. It has a bunch of UI changes and new features, and it also has FSD 12. So everyone will get updated to FSD 12 with that update, and if they haven't gotten a free trial, they'll get it with that update installed.
Okay, great. Looking forward to that. I just took delivery on an X on Friday, and it does have 12 on it. So happily, I'm back to being able to get to and from work without having to pay too much attention.
That's awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
Steve, where in Texas are you? You said?
I'm in East Texas. I'm in Tyler, Texas.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. That's really cool. Well, we have Texas covered. It's amazing. Meta.
How many Teslas do you normally see out there? Just out of curiosity, as somebody who actually lives in an area that we don't normally hear much from, what's the sentiment normally like when people see you in the car?
So in Tyler, it's a decent sized town. I guess we have a lot of white collar here and so forth. So there are a lot of Teslas. We actually have a Tesla gallery here. So I was able to pick up my last two Teslas actually here in Tyler. My first one I had to drive to Plano, which is up part of Dallas. But there are a lot of Teslas. And when I went by Friday to pick up my X, the place was just booming. I couldn't get over the number of people out there taking test drives, and it was really just amazing. And they actually, when I picked up when I picked up the Model Y out there in 2022, they maybe only had 2 or 3 Teslas on the lot out there. When I was there the other day, they've probably got 40, which is amazing to me for this part of Texas. But we're probably sort of the hub for East Texas as far as picking them up.
That's awesome, Steve. Thank you very much for sharing. Yoda, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I had
Oh, there he is.
I had some audio issues. I was trying to play Steel DRE while having space on. It wasn't working.
Oh, okay. How are you? How you been?
Horrible, just horrible.
Because space wasn't here yesterday.
No, because one of my cars is still on 11.4.9. That's why I'm trying to play still DRE.
Well, I hope the people listen to the space from the Tesla AI team, if there are any, hear that and send Yoda the latest update. Valid member of this space.
Yeah, this is getting ridiculous. I'm basically running a museum. I run and operate a Tesla museum that's called version 11.4.9. It's free admissions for anyone who want to take a ride.
Dr. Strange, go ahead.
Hi, folks. Thanks for giving me the mic, and I'm glad you guys are holding this space. This is fairly informative. I'm a private equities investor, and I used to hold a lot of Tesla shares, but now it's fairly minimal. I just shifted from one stock to another. Now, obviously, I'm keen on getting back in, but I want to understand. I'm hoping I can get a better understanding of Tesla's future, given its recent earnings, the recent earnings announcement. There, some of the top Tesla bull analysts, they liked the quarter, but they were concerned about when the dates of some of the stuff that Elon was talking about as to when it will actually happen. So they had a lot of doubts regarding when the robotaxi will come to fruition, and when they'll actually see it happen. If anybody has any information on that, I'd really appreciate it. And as well as FSD, I've driven Teslas and the FSD, or some version of the FSD, and I was really marveled by it. But then there's the regulation aspect of it, right? The technology is always ahead of regulation, and it's really the regulation that slows things down. So if anybody can provide some information on that front, that would be really helpful. Thanks.
Thank you. This is right up Kristen's alley. Kristen, when will we have robotaxis, and when will the regulation approve it?
This is right up my alley. I mean,
I'm kidding. If you don't want to
August
answer, that's
8th.
fine. Oh yeah. August 8th. Wow. There you go. Meta. We have a wizard on the board with a crystal ball.
Thanks, Kristen. But on the earnings, he didn't really say August 8th. He kind of left it open. Elon,
Yeah, probably it'll just be showcased August 8th. I mean, at least 2025, and we have to get everything organized first. So not August 8th. I was just being cheeky.
Yeah, Dr. Strange, we have very extensive, heated debates about these timelines, the questions you're asking, and I wish we knew the answers. We have a lot of coffee bets riding on this topic, and it's more important than the stock price. These coffee bets, it's all bragging rights. So the currency of the space is coffee bets, but stick around, and I'm sure you'll hear many opinions. Meta.
Isn't Elon in China right now? And does anybody know how long China's had EAP?
They've had
Yes, he's
EAP
in China.
they've had EAP for a while. Do you think Meta, Elon being in, what does that tell you? Elon being in China today?
I think it was a last minute trip. He's meeting with leadership. We've been talking in this space about how they probably need to get more miles for FSD. I wonder if, because V12 doesn't run on the highway. EAP is largely for the highway. I wonder if with either an upcoming version or trying to get FSD out in China, there might be some desire to get more miles by adding more countries. And that might be easier than trying to get adoption rates higher in the US. And as I've mentioned a few times, data is really important. Also, Elon had a tweet where he said, first, when they get confident, they'll roll out a free trial. Then they'll roll out to more countries. This seems like exactly what he said.
Okay, good. I need 5 seconds to exit and come back because I lost my ability to see notifications. But Meta, can you answer Mr. J's question? Mr. J, go ahead. I'll be right back.
All right, just had a couple of comments as far as China. In terms of regulation of FSD, if the Chinese realize that this is an economic advantage to have autonomous driving everywhere and to do it as quickly as possible, they might actually jump in and be the first one to actually fully approve that across the country. I don't exactly know the details of how that would work out, but that's something that's potentially could happen. So my question was actually, I don't know if anybody wants to comment, but in terms of more so on the robot side for Optimus, does anybody know how Tesla really intends to gather, a large amount of video data or some other data to be able to train the robot, versus how easy it is now to get, all the data for the robotaxi?
So a little bit background. I have worked with Chinese regulators in the past from like a software standpoint. I think it's a mistake we make often in the West is to assume that China is one monolithic, homogenous country. It's a tapestry, right? So like for a while, I think Tesla didn't have a great, maybe Beijing may not have liked them as much at that province, but Shanghai liked them a lot. That's like the California likes you, Texas maybe doesn't. Different states, different provinces in China probably will have different feelings. It's possible it comes down from the top, but if I had to make a guess, I would guess that Shanghai probably enables it before the rest of the country.
Meta, on a related note, aren't there any concerns regarding IP theft or possibly related to FSD? If you were to enable it over there, would I guess either through Teslas or other vehicles, if you OEM it with other vehicles?
I think this is going to be one of our favorite analogies going forward, but it's that LeBron analogy. You can't just take the weights out of a Tesla vehicle, stick it in another vehicle, and expect it to work. You actually have to train it. And what you'll notice is with all these open source AIs, right? They're happy to give away the weights, but they don't give away the process. Turns out the process is what's important, right? So if I took you to McDonald's and I gave you a burger, you don't suddenly know how to make the burger.
You may have to explain the LeBron analogy every now and then because the audience just cycles through quite a bit.
I agree. Thank you, Yaman. I was actually about to ask the same question, but historically, if we take a look, there's been plenty of intellectual property transfer over when companies thought that it couldn't happen, but then they were able to reverse engineer it and figure it out. So it's not like they do have really good engineers and scientists who can work on this. I'm only saying this because Elon can easily initiate this in many other countries where the intellectual theft can be far less versus certain other places. Thanks.
Yeah, when it I'll explain the analogy again. Sorry. Sometimes I don't know when I'm like going to get yelled at by a Yaman saying you're going into too much detail versus other times like go into more detail. Still figuring that out. It's a Sunday, so I'll make go into more detail. But on the China knocking products off comment, I'm just putting it bluntly in like the terms that you're saying. It doesn't matter where the products are manufactured. If you're going to reverse engineer something, all you need is a white room. It's called a white room if you're going to do it in the United States. It's like you bring nothing from the outside. You just have the product. You sit there with, fresh computer, fresh notepad and paper. And if you can figure out how to make that thing in that white room with no outside information coming in, then it's not considered super novel. That's like a way to test and defeat patents, for example.
Kristen.
Yeah, I wanted to add that Elon was invited to come to the China Council for the promotion of international trade. So along with that, he is promoting the FSD. But I highly doubt with just his background in software engineering and dealing with intellectual property rights, he's had other employees that have dumped on Google Docs a lot of intellectual propriety. But I'm sure they've thought it through to some degree that it's cost effective and it going forward, it's a good thing. I mean, it is a concern, but I mean, there's Chinese that come over here and do it too. That's even a greater concern, honestly.
Yeah, and to that notion, right? Like I would argue anything that can be knocked out or copied quickly, it means it could probably be invented quickly too. And FSD was not invented quickly, right? There's a reason. There's a reason why this is hard.
Yoda, you're bouncing around. Connection
Yeah,
issues.
just having audio issues. On this topic, just wanted to share that, Elon was supposed to go to India, and he said he was busy with Tesla stuff, and now all of a sudden he's going to China. Uh, how does that make India feel, first of all? Now, for China, I think there is Baidu, which they're adopting Baidu's 3D maps, and they're based actually out of Beijing. And so I'm sure he's also meeting with Baidu. Now, the question around Baidu, I think, would be as you use, obviously, they can't use Google Maps there because, Google kind of from a higher level is not allowed there. So fine, use Baidu. But when you use that map, uh, how much data are you then having to share with Baidu? I think that's going to be an interesting question, and therefore, how much drive data does Baidu get to ingest as part of this deal? And therefore, Baidu has the whole AI autonomous driving platform, by the way. And so I think it'd be interesting to look at what's in it for Baidu under this deal.
Kristen Dameda.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about Baidu, but I mean, that is kind of funny about the India stuff. I know that India is just a whole nother just layout of integrating Tesla in there. It's not really in there, but as far as China, there's quite a partnership already going. And obviously, if things have shifted, like he's making things priority, like Tide is right, But I would assume that maybe he already planned on going to China. This was on the schedule, so this is China. This is Tesla business per se.
Yeah, on the India versus China thing, like geopolitically, they're very big rivals, right? I think India's been trying to get into the manufacturing space for a while, but India was extremely unwelcoming to Tesla for years, saying they're going to make it themselves, they're going to make companies that are going to compete with it, and they're going to figure it out. And they didn't figure it out. And now they're like temperately, okay, maybe we'll allow you in our country. But even if they do allow Tesla into the country, it's like, okay, but everybody who's here buys really cheap cars, and we're gonna have all these conditions, and you're gonna have to like make major investments, and it's not clear if the customers will buy it. You're not gonna have that same level of support as China gave. So I wouldn't be surprised if like, you know, between the two parties, two partners, you go with a partner that's more welcoming. Why would you waste your energy going to a country that's not been welcoming in the first place?
Not to mention that there's a lot of bureaucracy in India, just generally speaking.
Dr. Strange, is this your first time speaking?
Yes. Well,
You
in this space, yes.
okay. You said you're a private equity investor. What type of private equity did you do?
I mainly focus on equities. Are you asking what specific?
Industry.
Well, these days I'm primarily focused on AI. Historically, I've delved into biotech as well, but primarily tech, and nowadays primarily AI.
Okay. And then if you're comfortable sharing, what size of businesses are you targeting?
What size?
Right.
I think there may be a misunderstanding here. So when I say, let me backtrack. Think of it. I manage a small equities fund, but it's for a private group of people. So I may have
Oh,
misspoken.
I see. Okay,
So
I
it's
got you.
really publicly traded companies, only the folk, but it's for a small group of people, and
I
I
got you.
manage it.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Apologize if that was not clear earlier.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
Um,
I got lucky. I sold Tesla at 220 and then 185 and then 170 something. But then I wanted to get back in and I missed it at the 140s. So I'm hoping to be able to get back in at some point. Let's see where it goes.
okay, great. Ben Toski, did you get a chance to speak?
Yeah, you had me up to ask Meta my question about Lacoon.
Yeah. Did you and you asked that already?
I did.
Okay, great. Mr.
Thank
J.
you.
Yep.
Well, I don't have anything right now. I just spoke a minute ago. If somebody else wants to go.
Okay. All right. We have a new speaker coming up. Leo, go ahead. Leo Copen. Oh, Leo dropped. Samir, go ahead.
Hey, good evening, Yaman. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Thanks again for hosting this. It's been very informative. It's my first time speaking into this space, so thank you for putting me up there. Um, my question is on the hardware level. What is the fundamental difference between hardware 3 and 4? Because my understanding is that the compute level increases with higher resolution. So, what is the fundamental reason for upgrading hardware if your processing power needs to increase over time?
Meta.
Just to clarify, you're referring to why increase the camera resolution if you have to also increase the compute?
Correct.
Yeah. So if you think about buying camera hardware, like I'm not saying this is the reason why. I'm just giving one potential reason. If you went out there and you try to buy a 1.2 megapixel camera today versus a 5 megapixel camera, you might slowly stop being in the majority of buyers and you might end up being in the tail of buyers. And then those products surprisingly will be more expensive than buying a 5 megapixel because there's much higher demand and therefore supply for that uh, resolution type, right? So it's almost ideal for Tesla to be buying the kinds of cameras that are going into uh, iPhones and Androids. And if you look at it, the cheapest pixel cameras in those phones, I think, was around 1.2 around the time Tesla started. And now you'd be hard pressed to find cameras that are like less than 3, mostly 5 megapixels these days. So I think it may have to do with supply chain.
Thank you. Yoda.
Yeah, and I would say don't worry too much about whether you're on hardware 3 or 4 or later 5, because think of it as the hardware for inference, and Tesla can have multiple models that are optimized for each hardware set for 3, 4, 5 that then produce the results which are good enough for full self-driving. I don't know if Meta, you agree or want to comment on kind of multiple models that can be used by Tesla?
I mean, the more models you have, the more expensive your QA time gets, the higher the bar for your simulations and automated tests is. So I think generally speaking, minimization is best. That's probably also why Tesla right now is just running a hardware simulated model on hardware 4, which also, it's not to say that one day they couldn't run a bigger model on hardware 4. It just, you know, cross that bridge if you have to. Don't cross it if you don't. That's my opinion.
I agree to that point to a certain extent, but if you think about from a first principle standpoint, why not have hardware just enough to have hardware capable of performing full self driving? I mean, cost is one point, but why will Tesla invest in R&D to upgrade hardware levels to which inherently is going to result in increasing processing power at the processor level.
So think about it this way: every time you 10x the compute, right? So 10x, 100x the compute. If it, depending on the scaling laws, the ratios will change. But if it follows LLMs the way Chinchilla showed it, you would get a halving of the error rate. So your quality would improve, but it's not gonna improve that rapidly. And then the question becomes, okay, so could you 10x the hardware? Is that affordable? Could you 100x the hardware? What if they've already done that math and they're already at the sweet spot based on the market conditions?
Okay, I see your point, Meta.
Does your daughter have any views on hardware 3 and 4? Samir?
No, no other comments. Thank you.
Does your daughter have any comments?
um, yeah, she's about to go to sleep, so hopefully that happens in near future.
Well, she's welcome to join the conversation. In the meantime, Chaitanya.
Hey, speaking of India plans for Tesla, I don't think firstly Tesla have canceled their plans, so they might have reprioritized their things. So that might be the reason Musk, Elon is in China now. And also one more thing, you guys need to understand that India is in the middle of election now. That is one of the reason, might be the reason as well. So they have election going on now up until June 3rd. Okay. So that might be the one of the reason as well. And another thing I want to speak about, that the bureaucracy and bunch of things you guys were talking about in India. I definitely agree that there are a lot of issues, there are a lot of challenges in India. Their main focus about in Indian government is they want to bring as much as the manufacturing in India. That's the main reason why they're pushing back from the beginning. All these automakers not to sell the cars which are manufactured in China, Europe, could be anywhere. Okay. If you take an example, Kia, what happened with Kia? So I remember those days, it just was like around 7 to 10 years ago. The Kia was nothing. They have Hyundai. Firstly, they have started the Hyundai plant in Chennai. And then that's how they started selling a lot of cars. And later they started plant in Andhra Pradesh for Kia Motors. And that's how they started selling. They didn't sell the cars which are manufactured in Korea. So they set up a plant, and that's how they started selling their cars. And the main thing you guys need to remember is the price point. The market in in India, the main market for cars is between 10 lakhs to 20 lakhs, which is around, I would say, around 15,000 US dollars to 25, I would say around 30,000 US dollars, around that range. That's the bigger market in China, in India. Okay, so if you take the cars, what happened with Kia Motors, they started with Seltos, and the Seltos, they were selling around like 15-16 lakh rupees, which is around $20,000 USD, and that's how they started selling, and they were like, I mean, those cars were selling a lot in India now. And long story short, I would say that the market is around in that price point, and the higher price point is around 40-50,000 dollars, around that range, which is 25 lakhs, 30 lakhs. Those are like bigger cars, bigger SUVs.
Okay.
All
right.
So yeah.
Man, you are firing away points. Sunday night edition, guys. Grab your wine, beer, water, or anything else you do to relax, which is fine. Doctor Strange, then Meta.
Thanks. So I believe it was Chaitanya. I can completely agree with him in terms of the election thing. The Modi government tries to leverage these, especially a celebrity like Elon, to bring him in and basically showcase that, hey, we're starting a manufacturing, Tesla manufacturing. So for those reasons, Elon wants to stay away from the political side of it, and it makes perfect sense. Um, there is a couple of other points that I would make, and I've actually lived in India for a couple of years way back, and I've traveled there. Uh, India is fairly software heavy, meaning software centric. When it comes to um, industrial manufacturing, they're still, while they're ahead in the software side uh, when it comes to China, they're not, they're behind on a manufacturing when it comes to China. So you really need like a strong infrastructure to be able to, with a tremendous supply chain, to be able to get things off the ground. Where they're really successful in manufacturing is in the pharmaceuticals. When it comes to pharmaceuticals, they have a monopoly. But when it comes to making cars or other stuff, especially the foreign cars, let's say Tesla, I think this will be a long. It'll take a long time for it to come to fruition. And in terms of, I don't the demographics in India is so uh, you have such a large array of demographics where you have like 40% poor, and then you have a middle class, which I don't know, 20-30%, then you have 20% which are rich. So you could cater to the rich, assuming they would want a Tesla, but they typically buy the fancy luxury cars. Um, you but if you're going to compete on price, the Tata Nano is like $1,500. You're never going to be able to compete on price in India. So you'd have to cater. You have to compete against Asian cars in that sector with a mid-range car or a luxury car that would compete against the Mercedes Benz for the elite group. That's my 2 cents, and I'm sure there are other people who can give a lot more details on it. But that's my general take.
Okay, thank you.
I have to run, but
Meta.
thank you so much for
Okay, thank you.
giving me the speaker. Appreciate it. Bye.
Thank you very much. Meta.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be aggressive or anything here. I just want to point out some of the key differences between Kia and Tesla. And forgive me, I may not know this, but it's my understanding that India doesn't really have a very extensive charging network at this time, and Tesla would kind of have to build that out and invest in that. It also doesn't have the most stable grid. It does in some parts, but like the large population centers like New Delhi, it's regular brownouts do happen. And then the last point is, and my knowledge might be stale of India, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a big resistance to buying foreign product, and it breaks Tesla's regular playbook. For example, when they went to China at first, they sold Model S and X, raised that money, kept that money within China, and then invested that money to make a factory plus more with government grants, with help getting production lines set up, all that kind of stuff. And then one of the challenges is, at least from my perspective, it's hard to take the Indian government at its word, because between elections, different changes, sometimes they go back on their word. And there are other countries like sometimes America or China where if a previous leader makes a promise, the next leader holds it up more likely. So I think those are the risks that make it difficult to enter.
Yoda.
Who said Tesla was going to sell cars in India? I mean, why wouldn't they just kind of leapfrog that and go straight to robotaxis? Now, anyone that maybe can comment around the penetration of ride-hail networks in India?
Tanya. Tanya.
Hey, sorry, I didn't get your question, Yoda. Can you repeat that?
Would you like to comment on the penetration of ride-hailing networks in India?
So I want
Uber,
to before we get into that point, I want to answer a few questions from Meta and the previous person who spoke. Right, the first one is about I believe about the infrastructure in India, how it's growing. Dude, like I was in India in last year, and the last time before I was in India is 5 years ago or 7 years ago, somewhere around that range, and I have seen the difference in infrastructure. I was surprised, honestly, in terms of the highways infrastructure, in terms of the railways, and it's a lot changed. Even in the airports, a lot changed in India. It was not like before. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is about software. So I have seen how software grown in India, the software industry. uh, but when we talk about software, we cannot skip talking about, there are a couple of people who are the main reasons for growing the software in India. There are a few chief ministers who really worked hard their ass off to bring Microsoft they to in India. So later I
Do,
want to talk about something about the manufacturing, right? So the manufacturing part, so it's still growing. So which is
can we?
main.
Okay, why don't we? Let's just do this. Just answer the question, and then other questions will come up. And I recognize that you have expertise in India, and as other questions come up, we'll build this knowledge over time. We don't have to build the entire India knowledge right now,
Okay.
because that's just going to be you talking for an hour.
Okay, got you. So okay, I'll answer the final three questions. So dude, like I've seen that, like already when there was a news that Tesla is going to India, they're going to start investing $4 billion amount. I've seen that these politicians, they started floating the fake documents around, saying that the Tesla is already signed an agreement, blah blah blah, for a specific state to play that as a game for
Chatanya,
them. Okay, and
Chatanya, the question is, can you comment on the penetration of Uber and other ride-hailing networks in India?
yes, the ride-hailing networks. I don't know, because we have a lot of workforce in India, especially. It's because, and also the one of the reason is that the taxi system is a lot in India growing because of the IT, and also this manufacturing people we're using a lot these days. And the but I'm not 100% sure that the ride hailing and robotaxi, it's going to be really a big thing. It's going to penetrate soon to India, because we have a lot of workforce there. So the governments might push back, because they would lose their livelihood and some stuff like that, right? I know, before we have the other means like rickshaws, auto rickshaws, and stuff like that, and later it transformed to the cars with cabs and taxis, right? But I really suspect that, it's going to take time, but we might end
Okay,
there.
thank you.
Yeah.
Meta.
Yeah, for some context, in India, it's not uncommon that when you work for a major corporation, that in addition to your salary, you get access to a driver in a driver pool. So it's quite different than a lot of other places in the world. The labor is extremely cheap. And so when you go to displace that labor with a robotaxi, it's not nearly as profitable as it will be in other parts of the world. That's one big thing. And then the other big thing is that, like was mentioned, there are a lot of job creation laws that like force people to have jobs that will be a reticent or resistant point for that. And the final thing is, you can't just launch a robotaxi in India. You're going to have to train it. You're going to have to learn how to drive in India. It's probably the most complicated place, at least for humans. So I don't think it's the next step.
Yoda.
We'll see.
Interesting. Yoda, are you feeling confident about our 8-8 bet?
Cappuccino extra hot.
Okay. Kristen.
I just wanted to point out when Elon talked about going into India, and this was last year in June 2023, he said primarily they'll do solar and wind, stationary battery packs, electric vehicles, and hopefully Starlink too. So, like, electric vehicles weren't high up there on there, it was other things. But I've been to India, and I mean, you are right. We hire a driver when we go there, and you're expected to do that. Like, that's kind of just, there's a lot of symbiosis in India that's not there in the West. People function as individuals here. There they work as groups.
Great. I pinned Kristen's post on what she just said. at the top of your screens. This is from June 2023, Elon Musk's meeting with Indian Prime Minister in New York City. Elon stated the sustainable energy future three pillars are to be invested in India through solar and wind, stationary battery packs, and EVs, and hopefully Starlink too. Let's go to Meta, Chaitanya, and then we're going to go to R.D. Petrie.
Yeah, just on that solar point, thanks for reminding me about that, Kristen. It's a very big point that China basically dominates the market right now, and if if Tesla really, if India really wants to get like a seat at the table, solar seems like a good place to get involved, even if that's not the main place maybe they want to get for their population. It's kind of a give and take, and in my personal opinion, sometimes India is very anti-globalist, and that makes it challenging for you to work with global companies.
Chaitanya and then R.D.
Yeah, just gonna give you a quick example on the robotaxis penetration into India. So what happened was in India, this people, a lot of people, companies like Xiaomi, they introduced the vacuums, the Roomba vacuums there, right? They tried to sell those. So I have seen that like people bought it, few people, the Roombas, and they figured out that they don't need that and they don't like the work that's doing because they have already the mates who can work. Speaking of the workforce, they have cheap workforce. So they have every home they have a maid. Every home, like the people, especially a lot of people have drivers too. They have drivers, personal drivers who can take them. So that's how cheap the labor is, and that's big workforce they have. That's how it is.
Thank you. Great. Thank you very much. R.D. Petrie.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak, and it's an honor being here and listening to this space. I'm a early on Tesla investor from 2017, 2018. Haven't sold a share yet, trying to buy when it's low. I truly believe it's a unicorn company and once in a lifetime opportunity. I have questions regarding what do you think is the first and second most important things that Tesla is looking at achieving or executing right now? Obviously, autonomy and robotaxi, but also on the solar side, I feel like they haven't focused as much in terms of making that scalable and cheaper and more people taking part of installing solar, because I really believe that energy part of the business will be huge, bigger than the car one in the years to come. So do you think they haven't yet had the capex to focus on solar, or what are your thoughts on that?
I would place Optimus number one by far. So as a new welcome to the space, new speakers. You got to stay on mute when you're not talking. Number one, Optimus, most important thing. I agree with Elon that majority of the intrinsic value depends on the Optimus project. I think solar panels, solar roof are down on the priority list right now. So I don't think Tesla's focused on that. Tesla's focused on things that others can't do. And China seems to be doing a great job ramping solar panels, and other companies in the US as well. So Tesla's expertise doesn't appear to be needed in that area for now. If that changes, then Tesla can reprioritize things. But I think Elon is mostly focused on Optimus and FSD at this point. Kristen, what do you think?
No, I think you're spot on. That's what I was going to say. It's like if you want to be like have the edge advantage, he needs to keep on pushing for where he has the edge advantage. And Tesla is with the FSD and the Optimus and the robotaxi. That's what they're betting on. So there's a lot of different companies selling solar. There's not as many doing the tiles per se, but I think that it's the whole. It seems the whole industry kind of moves forward together. It's like Tesla has like the cutting edge advantage. It does have the ecosystem. And that's like the part that Tesla has the advantage of. It's got the cars, the hardware, it has the power packs. So they can always tack in the solar later, but I think they pushing forward with the rope taxis and everything else is just the way to go.
Perfect. Okay, let's see. Habib, did you get a chance to talk?
No.
Good. We don't really allow Taycan owners speak too much here. When are you going to change your cover page, Habib?
When I have a cyber beast in my driveway.
Are you threatening us? Are you like, give me my cyber truck or I'm going to advertise Taycan?
I just think that was a pretty badass photo.
It's not. It's horrible. It's the worst photo I've ever seen. I think you lost a few hundred followers when after you posted that cover page. Anyway, current pulse.
Yes, so I just wanted to comment on earlier question around the size of ride-hailing apps in India. It appears that for Uber only, there are like 100 million active users in India. It operates in 125 cities. And there are some local players as well, like Ola Cab. So it appears that there is a decent ride-hailing app market in India. So I just wanted to comment on that.
Thank you very much. Habib, would you like to read Grak's response on that?
Yeah, certainly. Ride-hailing networks have been, the prompt to Grak was, can you talk about penetration of ride-hailing networks into India? This was asked on fun mode. Grak's response is, certainly. Ride-hailing networks have been making significant inroads in India, with the market showing considerable growth potential. According to Statista, the ride-hailing market in India is projected to grow by 2.45% 24 to 2028, resulting in a market volume of US $7.36 billion in 2028. The user penetration rate is expected to increase from 17.6 in 2024 to 19.3 in 2028. This indicates a steady growth in the adoption of ride-hailing services in the country as more individuals are expected to use these services for their transportation needs. Furthermore, the market's largest segment is flights, which is expected to grow to a market volume of US $48.310 million. That's weird. It should just say 48 billion by 2024. By 2028, the number of users.
Habib, Habib, when you're correcting Grak, just be nice because it's going to remember you corrected them.
Grak, I'm still waiting for a cyber beast, please. Okay, let's continue. By 2028, the number of users in the public transportation market is expected to reach 983 million users. This suggests the ride-hailing services are not only growing in terms of user base, but also expanding into various transportation segments, such as flights and public transportation. Overall, the penetration of ride-hailing networks in India is an upward trajectory driven by factors such as increasing smartphone penetration, a growing middle class, and the convenience offered by these services. As the market continues to mature, we can expect further growth and innovation in the ride-hailing sector in India. And I've just took a screenshot of that and I posted it in the Spaces replies if anyone wants to read it, if the numbers got a little confusing.
Thank you, Habib. Meta.
Does anybody have the ability to look up the average dollars per mile for things like Ola? Because if I understand correctly, it's extremely cheap.
Yeah, that's true. So I would on the average, based on my experience, I have lived in India, in Gurgaon, in Bangalore. Based on my experience, the average income Ola driver and Uber driver makes is like $20-$25 per day. So yeah, that's what my experience has been.
Thank you. Stacy, welcome. How are you?
Well, hi, Yaman. I am doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to the Sunday edition. And we would love to hear you sing at some point today when we have a natural break, or sometimes I close the space with a musical talent.
I
And
figured you were curating the space. So
yeah,
if you don't see me, if you want me to drop me down, you can into listeners and then just like you don't do DMs, but you just respond to what we were on the thread
Yeah,
before, and just let me know when kind of about when you want me back in, if I'm
yeah, and
gone.
yeah, and you're welcome to share your views on the topics we're discussing as well. I saw
Oh
your
yeah.
picture that you posted earlier today with the piano and what was the drink? I tried it. Was it
Oh,
cappuccino?
my latte, my
Your
latte.
latte. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I was having those Sunday vibes too. So I've actually been working on playing a song on the piano because I know you gave me a hard time last time about having an accompaniment track. So today it will be me playing the piano, as long as it's not after 11 p.m. Pacific, because that's when my
Okay.
family's asleep.
Yeah. I mean, that's way past my bedtime anyway, so that's
Cool.
perfect.
Cool, cool. And I
Habib,
do
and
have I do
yeah,
have advice. Buy Tesla stock because I am, and it's good stock to have. Yeah, that's it.
there you go. Financial advice for everybody. Habib, go ahead.
So to answer Meta's question, on a very quick Google search based result from Telegraph India, the question is what's the rate per mile for the ride hailing app? And it comes out to, so for 10 kilometers, the new average rate is 225 Indian rupees for 10 kilometers that spans 30 minutes, which is the equivalent of $2.70 for 10 kilometers over 30 minutes.
So about 15 cents a mile, right?
Around 25 to 30 cents a mile.
25, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, 25.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, divided the wrong direction. Yeah, 25 cents a mile. So there's not a lot of market opportunities with things like this.
And on top of it, it's not actually the right thing to measure the performance just in terms of miles, because for that 10 kilometers in cities like Bangalore and Delhi, someone might be driving for 2 hours, right, on the peak hours. So it's other parameters we need to consider in traffic for Indian traffic.
Bobby.
Hey, thanks. As somebody that lived in India, I think the Tesla's biggest business model over there would be the batteries, the power walls. Almost every single house in India has some type of battery backups because they always have constant blackouts, scheduled blackouts, brownouts. This would probably be their biggest business there because people would get these, which are so much more efficient than what they have there.
Meta, then Chaitanya.
Yeah, I think it's very challenging. Even I have relatives in India, so I've been there. This is not coming from like out of the blue. It is not uncommon for many homes to have generators. Fuel's very cheap. Even the battery backup, like that's become a big thing now. There are so many providers that provide battery backup. There's way more competition for battery backup in India than there is in other countries. And I don't think it's going to be very easy to say that's the main way Tesla competes, right? Because everywhere else, the power walls, they serve like the ecosystem of superchargers and cars and various other things. I don't know if it makes that much sense to spend a ton of effort and energy and cells for Tesla to go solve a problem that others are already solving.
And that too at the
That's
fraction price, right? The average battery inverters in India would probably cost like 15,000 rupees, which is less than 200 US dollars. So it's just the purchasing power parity also, like that plays a part.
So firstly, I can answer that as well a little bit there. So firstly, the gas is not cheap there in India. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is definitely there is a big competition in terms of the solar panels and also the batteries they use for houses to power the houses during the outages. So there is a lot of, I mean, there is a big competition for that, definitely 100% sure. So I mean, to get to that competition and be in that price range, it's going to be really complicated for Tesla to play around there.
All right. Oh, Omar is back. Omar, how are you?
Hey, my connection wasn't good before, but I decided to give it a shot using Starlink. I'm traveling 90 miles an hour in my Starlink, in my Cybertruck with the Starlink plugged into the bed. So, space back hitting your ears.
That's amazing. How is that impossible? Where's our SpaceX guy? Meta, where's our? Oh, Meta's gone.
This is why subscribing to Omar is so important because he does cool things like this.
I'm surprised at how well this works, honestly. I just have the normal stand-up Starlink that's on the little pole, and I just put it in my bed. And the ride quality is actually like so smooth in this truck that it didn't get knocked over. And I just plugged it into the outlet, and it's been working great. It's a pretty sweet solution. Like, I'm in the middle of nowhere right now, but I thought about it and I was like, wait, it might actually be the cell. That's going to be fair.
You asked a question. I think it was rhetorical, but could I answer you? You said, "How is that even possible?"
Oh wow, we have uh, we have historic vids in our seat in the audience. Maybe they want to talk about Tesla. Welcome to come up. Brandon, did you have anything to say?
Yeah,
You
I
were
was
going to
just gonna.
explain, and then you got disconnected.
Oh, I didn't get disconnected. I thought you started talking, so I just didn't want to talk over you.
Month, and I live in Ohio, so it's a little bit wonky out here. There's no street paint. There's no signs telling you what to do around here. Kind of everybody else's perspective on that. I don't know if anybody has like experience on that too, but
Yeah, Omar, what do you think?
Yeah, it sounds like it's not recognizing those railroad tracks as railroad tracks. So when you see them, just, press the brake pedal, disengage. A message will pop up and it'll say, "What happened?" Then push the microphone button and say, "Didn't stop for railroad tracks," and send it to them. And hopefully in the next update, it starts recognizing it as railroad tracks.
yeah, yeah. I got to put my feedback in there, but hopefully they give another month for it because I want to keep testing it out as they keep updating it. Um, yeah, another thing, intersections every once in a while. It's not like a huge deal, but kind of just lags behind a little bit. So I just click out and you know give my give my Tesla or I'd take lead of the Tesla for a change. But yeah, other than that, there's not much wrong with full self-driving. Um, I think if you're in full self-driving past late night, you know how it's what is it, 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. It lowers your safety score. If you use full driving, it shouldn't lower your safety score for that day or whatever. I think that's a good idea. I don't know.
Habib.
So I actually have a question, Historic Vids. The railroad tracks that you're approaching, would you say that they are level to the plane of road that you're driving on, or are they elevated tracks where there's like a little bit of a ramp to go up and over them and come down the other side?
Yeah, they're elevated to the max. They're very uneven. I take them at like 5, 10 miles per hour because my tires are a little bit low, but yeah, they're definitely elevated.
Yeah, so I've actually encountered the same thing. I have two separate situations. One where there's railroad tracks that are just kind of parallel to the driving road. You just go over them and that's it, no big deal. And then there's a rail line where the road has to elevate to kind of go up and over the tracks. And if you go too fast, you in theory maybe catch some air on the other end, like a Dukes of Hazard video. And that one, the Tesla doesn't recognize it either. So I've encountered a similar situation.
Yeah, I'm hoping they figure that out. It seems, I mean, I don't know anything about coding or AI, but it seems like a pretty easy fix. And I'm sure they're working on it, of course. But yeah, it just seems like the in Ohio, the Tesla isn't used to some of the Ohio terrain yet, but it's definitely made for California and Colorado. But it did perfectly fine during the winter. I was actually surprised that auto steer would work in the snow and it doesn't work in the rain, which is a little bit weird. Um, but yeah, it's a solid car, and um, I'll definitely buy full self driving once they figure out the railroad situation and work out a few of the kinks. But yeah, I love it.
You know, Historic Vids, there's going to be a time in the future where you're going to post a video of people manually driving their vehicles, and everyone's going to be laughing and saying, man, what a crazy time that was.
Yeah, yeah, I'll definitely be posting about Uber, how it's like a distant memory to most of us, and the robotaxi is going to be taking over here soon. So everybody's definitely going to forget about it.
That's awesome. Actually, that's a really good segue into. I want to ask you about your account a little bit. This is your first time coming, obviously, and thanks for coming. And what prompted you to share videos, and how do you think about your account?
Well, I started out as just a everyday guy that loves memes, and I realized that not enough people were memeing about history, and it kind of morphed into what it is today. I used to go really hard on solely history. Now it's historic vids, and now I have like hundreds of people like yelling at me for not posting strictly history. I've kind of segued into entrepreneurs and um, just a whole bunch of different genres. But yeah, I don't know. I just kind of started because I love sharing stuff. I love gaining. I love growing pages, and it's a lot of fun to me.
That's awesome. And how many years have you had your Tesla? You said.
Mine, I got it late 2022, so a little over a year, or a lot over a year, I guess.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that's very nice. Why'd you go with a Model 3?
The Model Y is just a little too round for me, and well, I have a girlfriend, but I don't have kids, so I don't need that much space, and I love speed. So that 3.1 miles or 3.1 seconds for 60 miles per hour is just super attractive to me. So I love that. I love the sportiness of it. It's got enough room for my golf clubs in the back, and yeah, the front is cool too. You could toss a backpack in there, whatever, carry on.
That's awesome. What'd you drive before that?
So I actually had my dad's hand me down. He gave me a Pontiac G6 2008, and it had everything. Every single light was on in it. Oil light, ABS, brake. The headlight was out for the entire time I had the car. I went in to get it fixed multiple times, and I guess the Pontiac they went out of business for a reason, but you had to take off the front bumper to fix the headlights, which um, pissed me off because it was super expensive. Um, yeah, I went to a Tesla just because I wanted like no maintenance. I hated going to the dealership every other day and trying to figure out what the hell was wrong with the car. So I haven't had to do that with the Tesla at all for the whole year. I should go get my brakes cleaned, but other than that, there's like no upkeep to the car.
That's really awesome. Any questions for historic vids, please request to speak. Meta, welcome back. How are you?
I'm good. I'm on the road, so I'll probably cut in and out at times.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. Yeah. Dylan, did you have anything to say?
I forgot. I came up to speak about something, but I forgot.
Okay. Well, it's a Sunday mode, chill edition. Everybody grab your wines, whiskeys, or beers, or whatever you drink on a Sunday night. I'm eating some hummus at the same time, so chill mode. Stacy, welcome back.
Yep. Yaman living on the edge, eating hummus.
I am living on the edge. That's right.
Thanks, Iman. Yeah, I did have an opinion actually. I wanted to agree with what Kristen was saying earlier. When she was asked about the China and Elon's business over there and Tesla, and I saw a post a little earlier by Wiggle that asking the question, what if Tesla robotaxi premieres in China first and deploys its first fleet to Chinese markets? And he asked that question. And my thought on that one sort of went along the lines with Kristen's that, Elon's going to work with the countries who want to work with him exactly, which is the point that Kristen was making. And my thought is that if the United States ends up weaponizing their regulatory process against him and attempts to pressure him unduly into opening up this platform to censorship and manipulation by them, other countries are going to benefit from his tech and we aren't, period. Or we're going to have a delay on that. And I think that would be a huge disservice to Americans, the American market, stockholders, Tesla, everybody. But I don't put it past regulators to do that, working kind of lockstep because they seem to excel at that kind of pressure.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Stacey's going to sing for us too later and play the piano for us. Great musical talents. I always encourage people, if they have musical talent in the audience, to share your talent with the rest of the space. We can take breaks every now and then. And for a few minutes, I love music. I think music is underrated. So I would love to hear it. Don't be shy. Historic vids. So you're obviously one of the major creators on X. How do you have any recommendations for the platform? How do you like the platform? Any changes you would like to see implemented?
Oh man, X is amazing. I think Elon's been doing a really killer job on it. I'm excited to see how they work with articles, because obviously that's something that my page could really take advantage of, and um, compete with like newsletters and websites and just get all the views and keep them on the platform rather than trying to siphon them off to like a different platform. Aside from that, I'm excited for like it to become an everything app and have transactions on the app instead of doing it on like Stripe or something, or the forbidden PayPal that everybody hates nowadays. Yeah, I'm just excited for all these new little things Elon's working on. He's constantly interacting and getting feedback from people, which is quite different from every other social media. I was just talking to my girlfriend the other day. it's not normal that you see the owner of an app actually engaging with people on the app. Like I also do IG with Zuck, and I've never seen Zuck the cuck answer anybody's feedback or give or listen to anybody's feedback or do anything on his actual platform, which is odd. But yeah, it's just you don't see that. You don't the TikTok guy. You don't see him asking for people's feedback on TikTok. So it's cool.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Let's see. Any questions for historic mids? Or Meta, or Omar, or Kristen, or Stacy, or Dylan, or Chitanya, but not Habib, because Habib drives a Taycan.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Yeah, are you going to be on the space tomorrow, Yaman, with Adrian and Dan tomorrow, talking about full self-driving?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I start my spaces 2 hours before that space is going to start. So, I mean, at a minimum, I'll be a listener. I think it's going to be fun space. So, yeah, I'll be there, in one shape or another. Chitanya?
Yeah, I just want to share something. Yesterday, I know I was driving on 401 in from Toronto to Kitchener. So I noticed a car on fire. I thought like I was on a phone with my friend, like I was talking to him and I was saying to him that, hey, there is a car on fire. He was like right away saying, is it an EV? Dude, what the hell you're talking about? I was driving there and I saw it says Toyota Sienna. It's like freaking Toyota Sienna, dude. It was on fire. I took a video. I'm gonna post it and I'm gonna pin it here. Okay.
All right.
I saw a gas car on fire yesterday too.
Yeah. Well, I hope everybody's all right. We have a number of people requesting to speak, so I'm going to move a few people down. Nothing personal.
Hey, I'm about to
For
take off.
for Habib, it's definitely personal.
I gotta take off, guys. Have a wonderful
All right.
night. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, historic vids. Thank you very much, and welcome back anytime.
All right, much love, fellas.
All right.
Well, speaking of Habib's Taycan, my dad called me yesterday and he said, "Hey, I'm turning in your mom's Mercedes E-Class. They said they'll give her an EQS for the same price." So he got her an EQS. So I'm driving over to his house in LA. I'm going to check out this EQS for the first time.
Are you gonna get in it?
Yeah, of course.
No.
I got to check out what their self-driving is like, and the software, and the UI. So I'm sure I'll have a lot to say about it. But I told him get a Model 3 for her, but he said no. I'm going to get this EQS, and now we're an all EV family. No more gas cars.
Steven.
I have an FSD question. I drove a EQS. They don't even have a frunk. You can't even open it. It's for service people only. But anyway, my FSD question. We can talk more about the EQS in a minute. I take the same route to the gym every day, and I always you have to go down an access road. I know Yaman's familiar with access roads, and you go down the access road, and I always veered off to the right to get onto the main road where the club is. But FSD always wanted to go straight, but I would force it to go right. Well, in the end, FSD was correct because it was like a back way to get to the gym, which I wasn't taking. And I should have let it just go straight. But am I defeating the FSD mapping by constantly overriding the software by making it go right instead of straight, or it doesn't matter?
Meta.
In the long term, it doesn't matter. Your data is like a small drop in the ocean of the data that they're collecting. But yeah, like everybody's data is going to be a little bit noisy. It's just kind of nature of the game. I'm not going to make you feel better though. You are putting bad data in there.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
Steven. There you go.
Well, that's what I thought, but
Happy Sunday.
I wanted to override it, but that was a bad decision.
Mr. Pringles.
Yeah, Omar, is your subscription for Starlink the the RV version in order to get your 90-mile-per-hour service going there?
You know, I hope nobody from SpaceX is listening to this, but I canceled the service and it just kept working. And I'm like, huh, interesting. I go check the billing section. No billing, no invoices, but it just works. So I'm not complaining. And I don't know what plan it's supposed to be, but it works. But from what I've heard, you don't actually need the RV plan. Like, maybe it makes it a little better or something, like you get more priority or something like that, but pretty much any Starlink will work in a moving vehicle.
Flying a rock.
Thanks for the space. Just a quick question regarding the FSD, the supervised or unsupervised FSD. Do you guys think which one will be having the level 3, which means we have, as a driver, we still have to be kind of required to be in the seat, but we can sleep or watching a video? That's a level 3, right? Do you think it's going to be covered in the supervised FSD, or it will be for the unsupervised version?
Omar?
Yeah, I don't think level 3 is really a real thing. I mean, you can't, for example, in Mercedes traffic jam assistant, you can't sleep, okay? You still have to be awake and paying attention. There's a lot of misunderstanding. I've heard people report that, oh, Mercedes is autonomous now. You don't need to pay attention, which is not true at all. It doesn't even work on city streets. We're talking about a traffic jam assist feature, and it still has a driver monitoring system. You can't go to sleep. You still have to be ready to take over at a moment's notice. So, my opinion, the entire SAE levels are bullshit. But once you sleep, I think in a certain scenario, it's pretty much just driverless at that point. So we may have a situation where it rolls out in a phased way. Like,
Sorry, I'm not sure it's only me or I think kind of pretty breaking up here.
must be the Starlink.
This is why you need the RV mode, Omar.
Yeah, can I
Well,
Kristen.
Can I follow up?
All right, Kristen.
I just wanted to clarify because I think I missed this. There was a point where Elon was saying when we get in our car and we go on our daily drive and our daily route, that the vehicle would start suggesting or kind of memorizing that. Now, I think that probably was when we had radar. Is what has changed with that meta? Because I don't think I've paid attention enough to that piece right there.
Meta.
I'm sorry, it was breaking up for me. I didn't hear exactly what Kristen said. I heard Elon was suggesting, and then it cut out.
Yeah, there was a time that Elon was suggesting that when we get in our vehicles, they will remember our routes. They will remember kind of like our daily drive and even suggest that. So I think that was back when we had radar. But I know that we're back to vision. We're at
Profile, it knows where you're headed based on the time of day. If you sync your calendar, it knows where you're headed. And so it does those things already. I think what he's referring to is just the extension of something he always says, which is all user input is error. So if you can kind of know where they're going, it's like, okay, they have a reservation somewhere. Maybe you could think the Everything app on X is integrated into OpenTable kind of thing. It it would be more and more of that nature. I think it's less about the radar. That's more about you can use vision at park. I don't think it has to do with that.
I am Bazoo.
Hey guys, thanks for the space. Do you guys think that for the right-hand driving, you'd use the same training data if robotaxis were to release in China first?
Meta.
I've heard this often. People say you could just flip the video and train it. Doesn't quite work because you also flip the text on the sides. So not 100% super forward, but it could be done.
Okay, Meta, your connection is really bad. So we kind of got the gist of it, but the quality is very low. How fast are you driving? Are you like driving 200 miles an hour that the signals can't keep up with you? The satellites can't keep up?
He doesn't have Starlink like me.
Yeah, Meta, there you go. Get this guy a Starlink.
So here's how I would implement it ideally. You would want the model to be able to generalize from the training data, including the, so like in the US, it should be able to learn from something weird that happened in a right-hand drive country. And right-hand drive country should be able to learn from a left-hand drive country. So I think ideally you'd like pass in some input parameter that said like right-hand drive or left-hand drive and sort of just train it, and you'd have one model. You could sort of flip the switch, or ideally, or even just intuit, just visually, whether it's a right-hand drive or a left-hand drive. So I don't know what how they're planning to implement this, but the ideal thing would be to have one model that can do right-hand drive and left-hand drive.
Meta.
You can just use the country code. You don't always have to say right hand or left hand, but they could use those as signals as well. So you can add more and more things to the input as hints. And I think Omar is definitely right about that. What I was saying earlier is you can't just flip the video because the text itself on the signs will also flip. So it's not as super straightforward, but flipping the text on the signs back is also pretty straightforward.
Okay. I am Bazoo. Did you imply that China is a left-hand drive country or right-hand drive country?
Yeah, that's because you guys were earlier talking about, Elon releasing robotaxi in China first. So that question actually stems
Well,
from that.
China is the China is also left-hand drive, like US, right? Sorry.
No, it's right-hand.
Right, like US, exactly. So we don't have to change anything to it, right?
The US is a left-hand drive.
Boy, I'm so confused. Meta, can
China
you
and US
help me out here?
You're not getting that off on me.
China and US are the same side, correct? Hello? We're struggling with basic things tonight.
Hey, thank you for allowing me to talk.
Hold on. Meta?
Yes. Are you asking me about the sides of the road for the China and US?
It's the same side, right? Am I going crazy?
No, you're not going crazy. I'm pretty confident it's the same side.
Okay. So what's I am Bazoo talking about? Where did the right-hand drive come from? Flipping signs and stuff.
Oh, my bad. I had the wrong understanding as to which side China drives.
Okay. Thank you. Data.
Yep, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm here in the Phoenix area, and I've been trying FSD. And here in the Phoenix area, you're allowed to use HOV lanes for EVs, even if you're driving alone. But the thing that separates an HOV lane from the regular lane is just a solid line, right? There's not much difference apart from a solid line. I did notice that FSD struggles to get out of the HOV lane when it wants to exit, perhaps because it thinks that it shouldn't cross the solid line. That's my guess right now. And then I have had to take over and come out of the HOV lane to obviously take the exit. I was wondering if if others experience something like that.
Omar?
So first of all, China is left-hand drive like the US. What was this question exactly?
Do you want me to repeat that? Yeah, I can repeat it. So
yeah, to questions. So questions, kind of generally speaking, people in this space are doing a lot of different things. Omar is driving his Cybertruck. Meta is moving around the antenna of his receiver so that he gets some good cellular coverage. Steven is trying to convince his kid to not want a BMW, instead want a Tesla. And some people are on the toilet. Some people are eating, hopefully not next to each other. So, data. Questions must be asked in 10 words or fewer. Okay, and they must start with 5 W's or an H. Because otherwise, people lose interest. They check out. They're like, oh, this is a long question. I don't have the energy in my brain tonight, Sunday night, to focus on this long, elaborate question. Just ask it quickly. And also, what you can do is pull up your favorite chatbot, the chatbot, and then say, this is what I want to ask. I know it's long, but can you do it in 10 words or fewer? And the chatbot will always say, yeah, here you go. Because they're people pleasers, like Meta says.
Totally agree. So I'm going to ask it quickly. So can FSD cross solid lines to take exits?
Yes. That was easy.
So you weren't listening to the question either.
I'm always listening to the questions. What are you talking about?
Then you would have answered it the first time.
Omar, I think Yaman is trying to admit that he's on the toilet.
No, I'm not actually. Nice try, but you swung and missed. He said something like HOA lanes.
Yeah, HOV lanes here have solid lines. I was wondering if it can cross solid lines to take exits.
It does.
Yes. I've seen it do it before in Arizona, for example.
In fact, Ashok spoke to this because he said in the United States, the solid white lines are a suggestion, whereas in China, it's a very strong rule. So there will be complexities when they go to different countries.
All lines are a recommendation. Ultimately, you're driving where physics tells you to drive, right? On the road, not in the hole. If there's a big fucking hole in the middle of your lane, you're not going to fall into the hole because the lane lines told you to. You're going to drive in the middle of two lanes if you need to.
Just as a reminder, we are on YouTube, and Neil Mohan just called and said Omar dropped F bomb. So, Yaman, sorry, but we're gonna have to demonetize your channel. And now I'm poor forever, Omar. Thank you.
We could implement an AI system that censors the streams using a combination of whisper, detect any swear words, insert a beep sound.
Interesting.
I think they already exist.
Yeah, I'm sure
Really?
someone's actually made this already. And you could just run the stream through that on a delay.
Steven has been so patient.
Shall I go? It's about HOV lanes. In Texas,
Oh, there you go.
in Texas, you're not supposed to cross the line. You're supposed to enter and exit at the designated areas. It's like you say, it's a suggestion, but if everybody's crossing the lines, then you have total chaos. So, I guess that leads into if a state says you can't cross the line, will FSD adhere to that?
Of course. Right, Meta?
Yeah, this is what steering is, right? So this is what they're doing as part of the March 9s. In those states, people will complain that it crossed the line. In other states, they'll complain that it didn't cross the line. And eventually, the model will figure out, oh, when I'm in these states, because they can give the country and the location and granular states as part of the input, it will figure out the correlation and be like, oh, these states have these rules and those states have those rules. And the funny thing is, at some point, the laws will change. And a lot of people don't realize the laws have changed, but it might be easier to steer the model, even if people are giving it bad data, as long as Tesla knows the laws changed.
Thank you. And I want to say thank you to Al for tipping to support the space, and also Leonard for tipping as well. Thank you very much, guys. Dylan.
Does that mean you basically have a swear jar now, Yaman?
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny. Yeah, and if you're on YouTube, you're watching this on YouTube, you can drop a question in the live chat for me to ask the speakers. Dylan.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about the lines. On my drive to school every morning, full self-driving will cross over a double white, solid white line like every day. It's pretty funny because you're not supposed to.
Do other humans do it?
Oh yeah, all the time. Because the nav tells you to get on, but it actually goes over to another highway. But you need to get on, like you're not supposed to cross over. I don't know. It's a stupid navigation error.
Steven?
So I was driving with my 16-year-old who wants a BMW, which I'm trying to.
I remember
I'm
him.
trying to get him to get the Tesla.
I remember him, Steven, every night before I go to bed. I remember that story. He came on to mine and said, I want a BMW. And I never recovered from that.
It just goes to prove I don't discuss this stuff with them. But
why
I'm
not?
driving because they have their own views. So I'm taking him out, teaching him how to drive, and he's driving on the dash line. So how can I get him not to drive on the dot, not the dotted lines? What do you call the lane lines, whatever they're called? He's sort of like FSD in a way. He's like hugging the right side of the road, and I'm trying to get him to look down the center of the road. So how can I get him to look down the center of the road?
Well, you need to do what's called prompt engineering or parenting and tell him to stay in the center of the lane.
Does he hug the right side, or?
Yeah, he hugs the right side, probably because he's afraid of.
Tell him to grow a pair and get closer to the median. The cars won't hit him.
There's a natural tendency for people to try and drive in the center, so they shift. You can encourage him to look at his side mirrors to see how far he is from different locations. It also helps calm people down who are bad drivers and are in the wrong part of the lane, and then FSD goes to the right part of the lane, and they think FSD is driving wrong, but they're the ones driving wrong. So you do see this in a funny way quite often. Then on turns, they have to look further away. But a funny answer here would be get her to drive in a Tesla, turn on FSD, then turn on off FSD, and let them see the difference.
Yeah, well, FSD has been hugging the left side and like trying to run into curbs. We all know that. So what's the deal with FSD doing that?
I'm not experiencing that, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not experiencing that either. But I was going to say, Stephen, there's a post going viral right now, and it's a girl who was gifted a brand new BMW, and she wanted a Tesla. Now her
I saw that.
attitude's kind of horrible towards her father who paid for it, but I think maybe your son should see that video.
I'll make sure he sees it.
I'm just gonna say the Tesla is the ultimate teenager car. Okay, like there's no competition. You can't watch Hulu. You can't watch Netflix in your BMW whenever you're at lunch and at school. There's no, like, it's the ultimate car to have as a teenager. I mean, there's really no competition. I used to have a A4, and then I sold it to get a Model 3. There's no.
Kristen, can you pin that video up top?
Yeah, let me try.
Diana, welcome. Diana? Oh, she's having connection. Can you guys see her as a speaker?
Listening.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna move her down. Actually, let me just try this first. Let me know when you see her as a speaker. That's not working. Diana, move back down and then come back up. And move back down. I'm gonna send you an invite. Luca.
Yes, hi. Thanks for the opportunity. Hey, I'm going to ask a very quick question. So, I'm driving FSD, and then at one point, I just want to exit FSD, but I haven't figured out a way to do that. Basically, every time I just either move the stock or, of course, press on the brake or whatever, I create a disengagement, which makes me feel bad. I don't want to send the message to Tesla because let's say I'm just getting close to my house and I just want to get in the driveway. So is there a proper way of doing that, like exiting FSD without creating a disengagement?
Meta, Omar?
You should not be worried about creating a disengagement. You should be disengaging all you want. Disengage too many times. You don't want to not disengage enough and then crash something. Like, generally, I hear people worrying about what data they're sending back. That's not really your problem. They're going to get back everything they need. Just, you just use it, if you want to press the brake or turn the wheel or press the button to turn it off and get into your driveway, that's absolutely not harmful to anybody. Just pull into your driveway.
Okay, sounds good. Then I'll just do that. I thank you for the information. So basically, there is no way to exit FSD, but that's okay. It's good. So I love it. It works really great on my car. I use it all the time. So it's incredible. Just blows my mind every time I use it. And by the way, I'm taking all my friends for a ride and can't believe it. They're blown as well.
Thank you, Luca. I pinned at the top Kristen's video talking about it's actually funny. So you guys can check it out, spread the word. Steven, send this to your son. Come on, man.
I saw the video earlier.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, it is pretty funny. I wanted a Tesla.
Steven, if he wants a BMW, get him a BMW.
No, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I
No,
thought
he
you were gonna
doesn't
finish
know
that sentence.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna finish that sentence with like, hold on 1 second, guys, hold on. Steven, if he wants a BMW, disown the kid. Come on.
No. Here's
Let's
what
get
I
our
was going to
priorities
say.
straight, guys.
Here's what I was going to say. If he wants a BMW, get him a BMW. Get him a 2014 used BMW.
Older.
The highest maintenance car on the market. And then you show him your car, the lowest maintenance car on the market. Let him see what that BMW is really like. I had a BMW before I had a Tesla. That thing is just like, you just turn it on one day and it's just like, and you're like, what the fuck is that noise coming from the engine? And then you got to take it to the service center and drop it off, and then they charge you $700. After 2 months with that used BMW, he'll say, all right, fuck it, give me a Tesla.
Diana.
Thank you so much. They got to fix these damn spaces. I appreciate your patience, Yaman. Stephen, I have the answer to your question of why your kid, how to get your kid to do the center of the road. The reason why your son is driving to the lane is because your son is looking at the lane line. So where we look is where we go, right? So your son is probably and more likely looking at the line to see, where his bearing is. But because he's doing that, he's also leaning to that direction in the lane. So talk to your son about looking center so that he's driving center down the road. That
That's
is
what
all I
told
have.
him.
I'm trying to cook dinner. Have a great night, everyone.
I told him to look down the road, center down the road.
Give him a Tesla FSD and all will be good. Meta.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of these like the looking down the road advice. I received that too. I think it does work, but there is this weird thing where humans sometimes don't know what advice they receive that actually helps and which one doesn't. So, like tennis players were often told, or sorry, I think it was tennis or squash. I forget. There's a period of time they were told to like flick their wrist, and they used high speed cameras, and they observed many professional players would hit the ball, and after contact was complete, they would flick the wrist out of habit. But if they stopped flicking the wrist, they couldn't hit the ball the same way. They just learned to do it a certain way, and it had nothing to do with the way they did it. It's just because that's how it was always taught.
Dylan.
Yeah, Steven, I think you should set up a reward program so you gotta just watch those rear view quarter panel cameras, and whenever he gets close to the line, you just gotta like hit him or like shoot him with an airsoft gun. And so then he'll learn not to get close, I think that's the only way to train it.
Dylan
Sounds like he's going to get
with
child
the
protective
parenting
services
advice.
called on him with that plan.
Habib.
I mean, everyone is here picking on Steven because his son wants a BMW. They're picking on me because
Yeah.
I got a
Can you
Taycan.
imagine if
Okay,
you actually want a Taycan?
listen.
And I have an
Actually,
EQS now.
and now Omar's
Yeah,
got
what
an
is going on? I'm
EQS.
losing control of the space.
Actually, I mean, since everyone's offering their 2 cents, and I want to make moderation an issue for Yaman on a Sunday night, I just wanted to tell you, um, I'm also a firefighter, and I like to always remind everybody that. I took a course. It's called Commercial Emergency Vehicle Operations. You have to take it when you drive fire trucks. And one of the things they taught us about the lane, which I always found it to be pretty useful, and that was, when you're sitting in the driver position, your left, kind of use your left knee as a gauge of how far you're going to be from that center lane. So if you want to be 6 inches away, you kind of use your left knee as your jig to keep your car, closer to the center lane, but also keep it in the center as much as possible. That was a really good technique. I remember learning that, and that helped out quite a bit. And the second quick comment I just wanted to mention was, we're always on here talking about our FSD drives, and I drive 99.9% of the time. I'm the driver. But this past weekend, I actually had my father driving, and I was a passenger, and we had FSD on. And I did not realize how smooth FSD actually really is until you're a passenger in the vehicle also. Like the only reason I could tell FSD was on was because it was actually driving the speed limit. My father drives a little bit slow sometimes, but it is so smooth even as a passenger. And it was a really eye-opening experience versus being the driver and kind of nitpicking the railroad tracks and the speed bumps and all this stuff. When you're a passenger and you experience it, it was a really different experience. I encourage everyone to try that.
Habib, those are, I'm sure, great advice. It's just that I don't take advice from Taycan owners. That's the way it goes. Dylan.
Steven, why don't you get your son in the driver's seat, turn on full self-driving, and have him just keep his hands on the wheel and mimic, feel how it's driving. And then he'll just drive like FSD.
Steven, no hands mode.
Oh, yeah. You're saying get him in the Tesla and let him experience full self-driving.
Yeah, but to fix his driving error, you just make sure he keeps his hands and like he's ghosting full self driving, you know. And then if he disengages because he steers wrong, tell him he messed up. Start over.
Yeah, I'm not letting him drive the Tesla yet. He's driving a Honda. Oh, I'm going to be banned again.
Why does he want a BMW? Has he given you reasons?
I think that's
There is no reason. There is no logical reason. What kind of question is this?
That's what popped into his head when Yaman was asking him. He was put on the spot. Yaman pressured him into saying it.
Oh, really? He's never said it before?
No, he's never said that. I don't know where that came from.
Look at that. It's actually Yaman's fault that Steven's son wants a BMW. This whole time, the host of the space has been bullying you.
Habib is trying to Oh my god. Habib is trying to start a mutiny. Mutiny! Get out of here. Lifetime ban.
What if the reason why he wants to not have a Tesla is because he's rebelling against Steven? Have we considered this possibility?
No, they love the Tesla.
I definitely recommend that parents who have kids who are around 16 still teach them how to drive manually before letting them use FSD. I think if you're on the edge, it's a good skill to have. Somebody who's maybe, 14 or 12 today may not ever learn how to drive, but, who knows? It may come in handy, and it's fun. So I would definitely teach my kid, if I had one, to drive manually fully before letting them use FSD.
You don't want your kid to be the only kid at the go-kart track who doesn't know what to do.
I saw this bumper sticker yesterday that says, I have the best anti-vehicle theft device. It's called a manual transmission. And I was just laughing that in 20 years, kids won't even, or not kids, but new drivers will never even know how to drive probably.
Manual's a lot of fun to drive.
Ditto. Habib is Taycan's manual.
No, the Taycan is not manual, but the 911 GT3 RS is.
Whatever, man.
Doesn't
when I get my Tesla, I'll race you.
Doesn't the Taycan have 2 gears, Habib?
It does, and it automatically changes them.
Can you help us understand why they have those 2 gears?
What was your question? You're breaking up.
Why do they have to? He was actually clear, perfectly clear this time. That's weird.
Oh, that's supercharger now.
There we go. Well, are you connected on the Wi-Fi or something? No.
No, I'm just not moving.
You're just not moving. Okay. Dylan.
Habib, what trim is your Taycan?
4S.
Okay, I was gonna say if it's a turbo with no turbos, it's the stupidest naming convention ever.
Dude, somebody used to have Taycans.com and they directed to Tesla.com. Why did that stop happening? And I want to know who had it. Taycans.com.
They probably got paid a healthy sum of money to stop doing that.
Are you serious? I mean, what amount of money would convince you to give up that cool level?
How many shares of Tesla?
I don't know. Yeah, right. Or do you think they got kind of like threatened with a lawsuit or something?
I don't think you can sue somebody for owning a domain.
Oh, okay. Well, we have guess who coming? Where you been for the last 3 hours?
In your head. Been in your head for the last week.
I don't think so. I haven't thought about you once.
Were you rearranging the furniture because suddenly Yaman has started selling BMWs and Taycans? You leave this space and Yaman just starts selling other brands.
I
I'm not selling
literally
anything.
knew I've been gone a week, and this guy has probably been thinking about me every hour of the day, on the hour. Every time Tesla Live goes on, he's looking, scanning the crowd. There's no eye, not a single eye to be seen.
You know,
And it's
actually,
sad.
funny you say that because there's actually one more eye, which is very similar to yours, and it really confused the heck out of me.
Oh,
Like one of you needs to do the other eye or something. I don't know
I
what's going on there.
appreciate copycats, but they're never as good as the real thing.
Tesla's up 5.5% in overnight markets to 177.
I think I'm gonna have to keep staying off the space because in the last week, Tesla's gone up like 30% since I've been not speaking. So correlation is always causation.
Do you
Are
think
you
it has
back
to
in
do
your
with the
stock?
fact? I was gonna say, do you think it has to do with the fact that you closed your shorts?
Well, I mean, if you're saying good job, machine who bought puts at 200 and sold them like at 160, yeah. But you know, I got greedy with my strikes. I had strike limit orders for buying calls and shares when it was around 140. I'm like, oh, let's put it at 135. Let's see if I can get it. And of course, I never did. And then after earnings, I bought some at 158. So calls. So those are like 2x leverage. So, you know, I'm happy. But it probably won't be a long term hold for right now. I'm thinking there's probably going to be a little bit of another correction. Not as big as the most recent one, but not until we go up maybe to like 180.
Machine, people have questions
I probably don't have answers.
for you in the audience, in bias. Do you think the overnight move is related to FSD China speculation?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like a mini Hertz scenario where I don't necessarily think the FSD news out of China like is directly people thinking, oh God, valuation's going up, they're making more money. But it's more shorts exiting the stock, being afraid of things moving against them, and then some people getting excited and buying calls. And so it creates this sort of you know, little mini gamma squeeze. So that's my kind of guess. I think it's there's shorts exiting right now.
Okay. Steven, then Dylan.
But how are they going to exit? The options market's closed.
That's what I was going to say also.
So
It's not, it's just Robinhood. It's not, the shorts definitely aren't using Robinhood.
So there's this thing called hedging where you may own puts. First of all, people may just short the stock, and that they can move in after hours. And then even if you do own puts and those you can't directly close, you could buy shares to start hedging, which you can do right now.
Yeah. Dylan.
I was gonna let Machine know I went and got Popeyes in honor of him because I thought he died.
If I die one day, I hope in one hand there's a drumstick of Popeye's fried chicken, and the other hand a whole Toblerone dark chocolate, like with chocolate smeared on my face.
Dylan, did you throw up the Popeyes as soon as you realized he was still alive?
Yeah, straight in the trash.
So you know, my wife and I were getting coffee at this local place here in Florida, and they had an old Trivial Pursuit card deck, and so we started, and it's from like the 1970s. You know, like no new questions. And they're saying what was the most popular meal, like people would get at a restaurant, and she's asking us, I'm like, I don't know, hamburger. In the 1970s, is it a hamburger? Like, I don't know. She's like, no, fried chicken. Is that true?
Well, McDonald's didn't
Meta.
exist, right? But I have a more important question. Rather than stock prices, Machine,
Do you or do you not have a bet with somebody about FSD entering 3 countries by some period of time? I couldn't find it. I tried to find it.
It might be. Honestly, I can't remember exactly. It sounds familiar. But I thought we argued that because I know if you were involved, then like a rat coming out of the corner, you're trying to squeeze your way into some bet based on some semantics, where you considered like Canada to count as a separate country when I was talking about 3 continents. No,
Is
the
Canada
discussion
not a different
was
country?
because the context, and this is why you need to have real AI like myself, unlike you, sad subset of machine who can't understand context. We're talking about America, Europe, and China as the 3 places, and you're like, you sneak in, well, Canada's separate. No, Canada's just part of America. Okay, it's a lesser part of America, kind of like North Dakota, where the people speak a little funny. Their money's not worth as much.
Oh, so are you saying
And
North
they're
Dakota's the
pale.
3rd country machine?
Pale people, too many immigrants, and how many other bad things about Canada? Oh yeah, healthcare, very terrible system. Yeah, I'll end there.
Like a tornado that comes through the space every now and then. Kristen?
I wanted to go back to where you said there was another eye in the audience. Did you invite that eye up to speak to see if it was machine?
We all know there's no way machine has an actual.
No, I can tell the difference.
There's no copycat, so machine clearly made another account to make it seem like somebody was his fan.
Ellen.
Yeah, I think if you do an in-person Tesla Live, you need machine to show up in a Cybertruck with fried chicken in the bed for the catering.
Even if you eye up, Iman, there's no way to know that it's not some teenager with 3 phones just pretending to be talking to itself. So we'll never know for sure. But I feel like they're machine.
Oh,
or a recording. Yeah.
This there's no one who's capable of having 2 accounts running at the same time as speakers on this space. It's just not possible.
Only Elon, because he owns the site.
But I will say, Omar owns a Cybertruck. Both him and Meta know around where I live, which happens to be about 0.5 miles away from a Popeyes. So I do believe we can make this work, and I can order online.
Can I ask you a question? Do you at all times know exactly how far away from your closest Popeyes?
Not always, but I will admit I did Google Map search to see where they are around here. And then also I kind of looked, I don't know why, I looked in Canada. It's like, are there any Popeyes in Canada, in Montreal? And there's none.
It's because it's a different country.
Very sad. Yeah, good point.
How could it be America machine if they don't have Popeyes? Clearly, that counts as a 3rd country.
This will be how we conquer Canada, finally. I'm going to sneak in a big horse as a present to Justin Trudeau. I'm going to paint the horse's face black so he accepts it.
Okay. Listen, your first few jokes were good, but then it kind of trailed off. The quality trailed off. So we're going to move on. Adrian, welcome. How are you?
Yeah, what's up, man? Big day coming.
Yeah. The debate.
Yep, I poked the beehive, and that beehive has 1 million impressions now because he run an ad on the post. So I'm like, what the fuck? I have no idea what to expect, really. So yeah, it should be intense. I got Meta there, so that's gonna be cool. But yeah, man, it should be something. I think it's gonna be about 2 hours, roughly about, and then we'll just like cut the space off. Then after that, I think I'll just join in here. So if you want to like do a space after that, kind of like recap, we'll see how long it goes. But I don't want to bring it over 2 hours because I don't want to like drag things out. It's also bad for recaps. So we could just like take it apart and then select clips if there's interesting things. Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Machine.
Yeah, I can tell you how the space is going to go. Dan O'Dowd, after it's done, is going to take the recording and hack up all the clips to make you sound like you're Elon Musk. He's going to make it seem like that and put it all together in a way that says, like Tesla says, Elon says, FSD is going to kill a whole bunch of people in China, and be happy about it with a cackle at the end, like that cackle right now. He's going to take it and use it.
Yeah. He forgot. It should be spy software as well. Yeah. Hold up a sec.
Didn't Dan get some kind of warning where if he falsely advertised or something again, he was going to get in trouble? Does anybody remember that story? Did I just imagine this?
No, he used NHTSA and NTSB's logo without their permission.
Listen, just so we're all clear real quickly, as a Patreon sponsor of tonight's space, high level FSD tier sponsor, today my 8-year-old daughter at her dance competition told her friends that I sit on the phone talking to Elon Musk all day long. So Adrian, you're going to have to cover for me if this ever comes out. Thank you.
Okay.
You gotta
Hey,
get,
remember?
Habib, you gotta get Adrian to wish her a happy birthday.
Ironically enough, I did that for Scott once. His family still doesn't believe when he says it was not Elon. They still don't believe it. I even told him myself. It's like, no, nobody believes it. I'm like, dude, seriously, you're not going to believe the guy himself? I mean, what do I have to gain and what do I have to lose? There's not really anything there, not anything of substance. Come on. And the background noise is not Cybertrucks, I swear to God.
It's clearly spaceships.
Yeah, sorry. I'm the guy who's manufacturing the alien technology you keep seeing on the History Channel. Yeah, that's me.
Hey, Machine, in the replies, Eric says we have many Popeye's chicken in Ottawa, Canada.
Really?
Real country.
Not
Oh no, I feel so bad for the Canadians. The country's going down the toilet.
With a bunch of smells.
Lord Pretty Flacco.
What?
Well, what do you want to say?
Oh, I don't know. I was gonna say something to Machine earlier about his little trades or whatever, but I think the topic has passed.
Let me ask you about this overnight action in Robinhood, 5% up. How do you feel about today?
Well, obviously, I feel like the shit because I am, and I've called it, and I'm gonna make a lot, so it should be a good week. I'll be happy. You'll see a lot of tweets.
Great, Omar.
Yeah, I was going to comment on Machine's trades that I could foresee a potential future where any idiot on X who bought and held shares of Tesla makes money in the future as FSD becomes global, and Machine somehow figures out how to lose money on his option strategy and, loses his house or something.
Anything's possible, especially with options.
Lenny.
Hi.
Did you have anything to say?
Hi, Lenny.
I did it. I totally lost my train of thought.
Oh. All right.
Is this Lenny from Of Mice and Men?
No.
What
That's
happened to that, Lenny? It's been a long time since I read the book.
All right, Regis says, just drove to get dinner, 0 interventions. It even pulled into the driveway. Let's see if there's anything else.
Is it just me, or has it gotten extremely boring when you watch the videos now?
Whose videos are you watching?
I was just saying in general, all the FSD videos without any disengagements.
Yeah. How is your drive going, by the way? Are you still at Charger?
Yeah, I literally just got the notification that I was ready to continue on my trip, but I think I'm gonna charge it for a little bit more so I can skip a charger. I know it's not the most efficient way to drive, but you know, I'd rather sit than stop and pull over.
Marty asks, should the side mirrors fold during highway driving so on FSD? It should improve efficiency by 2% or so. Interesting suggestion.
Once you don't need to supervise, yes.
Couldn't they also just put the camera view up at that point? Because if you're gonna do that, you might as well just remove the side mirror, right?
Just folding them improves efficiency by 2%. Seems too much.
No,
Seems optimistic.
it's the biggest thing sticking out of the car for sure.
I
can see it.
understand, but I thought if you remove them, you get that kind of improvement, but not like when you fold them. It's not like they're folding flat.
Yeah, I haven't done the math on how much the profile is changing. It's really, really hard actually to calculate drag. Usually you just test it. So I don't know if they have the numbers. Yeah, drag is one of those things like a lot of times in physics, people think things are like well understood, but drag is a great example in fluid dynamics where it's like, this is too complicated. Let's just measure it.
Mm-hmm. Omar, we have a question for you in the replies. You ready for this?
Sure.
Fuck, marry, kill. Model S, 3XY, or Cybertruck?
You just ruined the monetization, yeah, man.
Shit. Wait, what was Model X in there?
Yeah, all the vehicles, sexy cars and Cybertruck.
Okay. Marry Cybertruck, fuck the Model 3 Performance, and kill the Model X.
Boom. Kristen, your turn.
Isn't the Roadster in there?
It's not in the question though.
Well, Roadster first. I haven't driven the Cybertruck, so probably the 3 next, and then I don't know.
Wait, what's
probably
this
get
first, next, last thing?
Oh, okay. So how does the lineup go again?
Model S, X, 3Y,
No.
Cybertruck.
It's marry, fuck, and kill. Is that right?
It's fuck, marry, kill.
Okay, so probably the Roadster, fuck. Marry probably the 3 or S. It's tied, and I'd probably get rid of the Model Y, even though it's the fleet carrying car. It's not my favorite to drive.
Meta, you're up.
I would get rid of the S because it's kind of redundant.
I'm not sure what you mean by get rid of.
You know what I mean, kill.
Oh, okay, kill. Okay.
What else did you think I meant? Marry the Cybertruck, very versatile. And then the Model X, I think, is the one you take out for a day. It's really nice. Have your fun. The Falcon Wing doors maybe don't work as well, and you move on.
Thank you. Stacy?
Oh, were you talking to me? Oh, I just thought I'd just be on deck as long as there weren't a ton of speakers in case for when you wanted me to sing.
Oh yeah, but first, before you sing, you have to tell us which Tesla you would rather fuck, marry, kill.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'll skip the first one, but the second one would be the Cybertruck, and then I don't have any that I would kill because they're all good.
I don't know. It's kind of like
My answer's my answer's, Yaman.
okay. Dylan, you're too young to play this game. Habib,
I'm 18. I can play the game. What?
I gotta see ID, sir.
I would DM you a photo.
I don't know.
March 22nd, 2006. That's my birthday.
Oh, cool.
Hello, I want to play. I know immediately I would fuck the Cybertruck. I would kill the Model S because I don't really care about going fast and it's just not for me. And I would marry the Model Y because it's a good family vehicle.
Boom. That's how you play this game. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
All right, Stacy, would you like to sing for us?
I will. And you challenged me last week because of the track thing. So I went and I learned something today. And so it's all your fault, Iman. If I mess up, it's because I just figured it out. And so, yeah, just a little grace. I know you guys are super graceful. So, okay, I'm going to sing a song called Somebody You Loved by Louis Capaldi. So let's see. Here we go. Okay, there we go. I'm nervous, but okay. Whew, my voice is shaking a little at the end. Sorry about that.
Stacy, that was amazing. Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Thanks.
You were so good. That's amazing.
Thank you.
That was lovely, and I really like that song. And kudos to you because you have a lot of guts to go up in front of a lot of people and sing. I could never do that, and that was beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. I can pretend you guys aren't here, but I thought I could, but it didn't work because I could see all the emojis on there. So, but thanks. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I
and
sent the
everybody in the
emojis.
audience loved it too. Yeah, if you guys like Stacy singing, leave a mention, leave a reply, and let her know.
I
Matthew,
was gonna say I sent the emojis thinking it would help Stacy. I'm so sorry, but
that's
the
that's
shaking
what
is
I was
just
thinking
vibrato.
too. That's what I was thinking too. I was like,
I love
maybe he
emojis. I'm not gonna lie. No, keep sending them. I have to get used to it. I'm training myself.
All right, Tesla Hype sent 10 Canadian dollars. Thank you, Tesla Hype. I think that's like 50 cents for US dollars, but it's okay. Appreciate the space, Tesla Hype says. Thank you. Matthew.
Yep, I heard the chat about options. Thought I'd just kind of tell you what I've been playing recently. So I
Really,
always
you're
have,
gonna follow that beautiful performance with options.
I don't have my guitar here, so I can't
Why
sing.
why don't you sing for us? Oh, you play the guitar?
No, I don't. I neither sing nor play the guitar. Can't play the piano though. Yeah, so I've been playing this run up from before earnings, right before close on Friday. I actually bought a bunch of May 17th 180 calls. I post all my option plays to my subscribers. If people would like to see them just in my main feed, I'm happy to do that. I just don't want to distract from my just typical Tesla content. But I think we'll have quite a bit of a run up. And I think Q2 results are actually going to be really good. So I'll be playing positive options kind of all year, I imagine.
All right, thank you, Matthew. Kristen, do you play anything?
Boy, I'm eating. So you're right. Some of us are eating in here. Yeah, I play the flute. I played first chair flute from like 5th grade all the way to my senior year in high school, and I was in choir and sang too. And we went to state often.
Oh wow. Am I the only person who doesn't play anything here? Habib?
Yeah, I can play instruments.
Like what?
Guitar, piano,
Let's hear it.
trumpet,
I feel like
drums,
that list is going to be very long because he said instruments.
Yeah.
violin, cello.
Is this in your dreams? Dylan, do you play?
I used to play the drums. That's about it.
You used to. You're 18 years old. How much history do you have?
Dude,
How far
I don't.
does it used to
I
go?
used to play the drums. And I used to play baseball. I don't do either of those now.
Trumpet. Meta?
Habib, when you say you could play all those instruments, were you joking because you can play them but not well?
Yeah, I can. It's the same as my golf skills. You know, I can participate with any instrument. I think I learned how to read music when I was young, so then I was able to play a few instruments. Just haven't really kept up. But Stacy, that was phenomenal. That was great. I think you actually scared Lincoln off. He
Did
used to
I?
play some stuff for us, but
No,
he hasn't
Lincoln's
stepped
great.
up.
Oh, I didn't mean to scare Lincoln off. I'll have to give him a hard time. But I don't really know how to read music very well, so I just do everything by ear mostly.
Can you actually have like a space where a couple of people are playing instruments together, or is it too?
It's a bit too laggy.
Too
That wouldn't
laggy?
work. Yeah. Yeah, beautiful is a fragile thing, I think. You kind of miss something and it wouldn't work. I mean, we can try. I think we tried once, actually. Do you remember like a year or 2 years ago when I was having these 13-hour spaces? One time I had to take a break and I put Jimmy the Otter in charge. And then when I came back, people were like singing and playing music and instruments and everything. I think Michelle was playing the piano and he was singing, if I remember correctly.
That's funny that anytime you start with, you put Jimmy the Otter in charge.
He hasn't been back in a while.
I've seen him hold some spaces recently of his own.
Oh yeah, what are you talking about?
Like some like conspiracy level type stuff or something.
Brandon?
I just wanted to correct the record for YouTube. You said a year or two ago for your 13-hour spaces. That was like a week and a half ago.
No, we used to. So before YouTube started, we had a whole year of spaces, and they would go on forever, every day.
Yaman was the Casey Neistat of daily spaces on X.
Who's Kaylin? Who's that?
Gosh, this guy.
Who's that? Casey who?
And this guy calls
I don't
himself.
know who the fuck that is either.
Casey
Casey
Neistat?
Neistat was the original YouTube daily vlogger.
Yeah, he invented the vlog pretty much.
I know we're dealing with a bunch of
Oh god.
15-year-olds on this space and a bunch of bots that don't even know anything going on prior to 2010.
Look, listen, man. I just googled who invented blogging or vlogging. Adam Contras is the answer that came up.
Nobody knows who that is, though. Okay.
If I could go back in time, I'd prevent the both of them from doing that. Probably TikTok won't be a thing then. I hate vlogging so much. It's annoying.
Yaman's the only person that I'll listen to host a space. Everybody else, I've just been so spoiled by these spaces with Yaman letting people and not letting them speak. It's just the only one that's worth listening to.
Yeah, I mean, I actually let 90% of people up. It's only if like I haven't seen them or they're clearly not really interested in Tesla. Anyway, we got drilled. We got drilled. Omar is in listener mode. Kristen, what are you most excited about this week?
I don't know. There should be something I should know about Tesla going on, but let me think about it. I mean, I guess we're gonna hear a lot coming out of China with Elon and what's going on, but other than that, I mean, what else is going on? I feel like I'm missing something I should
Voting?
know. What's vote? Well, yes, this is true.
That starts this week.
That's going to be insane. It's like basically the US elections, but on the Tesla level.
Mm-hmm. Do
It's
you
going
think
to be
it's gonna be
crazy.
close? Do you think it's gonna be close, Adrian?
I don't really know what to think, perhaps, if I'm looking at the sentiment, but then again, when we looked at the stock, if the same provenance still exists, I'd say that he'd have a pretty fair majority, but not an overwhelming majority. That's just my personal thought estimate. Probably not accurate.
Yaman,
Yeah,
I had a question on who counts the votes. I'm really ignorant when it comes to that.
Yeah, I think brokers do, right? And then I'm not sure if anybody wants to answer that question. You're welcome to.
Yeah, the domain voting system.
I see where you're going with this.
I meant Dominion.
Well, and we won't know till June 13th, the final.
So yeah, the vote's a pretty big thing. I'm pretty excited to see the next version of FSD come out. I think it's been some of the people on X have been posting they're getting it. I'm looking forward to receiving that and trying it out.
I think the videos for the Ludicrous or the Tesla performance will be fun to see, just how well it does.
Deliveries begin this week.
Did you guys watch the Cybertruck Top Gear video?
Oh yeah, that was beautiful.
I was a little annoyed that they had the Rivian in there. I didn't understand why they didn't just like push the Cybertruck to its limits, and instead they try to do things that both vehicles could do.
I have yet to see someone intentionally try to break it by driving it up until it's literally just destroyed. I want to see someone actually push it to its limits, not just like shooting it in the side. We already know this works, but really just go completely apeshit
I'm pretty sure
off-road.
Whisper and Diesel
Completely
get one.
insane.
So you'll see that
Please
coming
do.
soon.
Just as long as humans don't get harmed, because this may not be sustainable to long-term living, especially when you're inside the car doing these things that I'm thinking of. Like, yeah.
Well, he's known for at the end, like you'll drop the car from a helicopter or like ghost ride it down a massive hill. So
Oh yeah, we need that.
I mean, yeah, he's destroyed like crazy amounts of cars. Like he dropped a G-Wagon G63 through the roof of a house.
There's like hell divers, but with cars.
Yeah, he called it G-Wagon orbital strike for sure.
We should play sometime.
I haven't played that game in a long time, honestly. Like or a long time. Like I played it a lot when it came out, and then I just kind of, I don't know.
The automatons are annoying.
Yeah, for sure.
If you handle them right, you just have to like stack everything and destroy everything in the beginning and in the end. Just like go balls out and just try to survive. Objective survive. It's like the middle. We're getting off track, but yeah. Have you seen that report where one person drove their Tesla off a cliff recently again?
I saw that one. The doctor.
That was crazy. Yeah.
I saw it when it originally came out. That's wild. Like at first it was like he was trying to kill his family. Now it's like he was mentally ill.
Is it the same person both times?
Yeah, it's an old story that's been regurgitated.
Oh, okay.
It still blows my mind the fact that the car, like the occupants didn't die. That's insane. That's really good. Like even if you don't want the car company to have an AI play it definitely has just a CarPlay as well. It's exceedingly safe. I want to see what kind of car can survive being dropped off the side of a cliff. Like what would that look like? This is the kind of use case you don't necessarily see in things, and something you don't particularly prepare for. But I mean, in this case, this is amazing.
I think
Really shows safety.
I think I figured out who's super anti-Tesla. It's the Hollywood graphics departments, because they can't have the cars drive off the cliff and blow up anymore if they're all electric cars. So, for the sake of the movies, we may all have to go back to gas cars.
Well, if they do like a GM EV, I'm sure you could.
I was thinking about that. Yeah, if they have some sort of a thing where I think they could make a plot device just be a piece of C4 at the bottom of the car where the battery pack is. That should make some sense, because if you actually were to breach it there and it gets into contact with, if I were to make a spy movie, I would just basically say it's a kind of explosive where it essentially just somehow not just only breaks the armor that protects the battery pack, but also somehow injects water into the whole thing. So you'd have to make some sort of hyper advanced explosive just to have that happen. And then you basically accelerate the burning of the lithium. So yeah, they could still do it, but it just wouldn't make any sense. It would be too, okay, yeah. Blade Runner 2049, maybe? I don't know. They haven't done that one yet.
I mean, it doesn't make any
Blow
sense
up a
now.
car.
Cars are not going to blow up when they get shot, or
Yeah.
grenades don't explode into fireballs. It's more concussive. None of this stuff makes any sense.
Exploding.
What if you could electrocute the passenger?
Exploding gas-driven cars is just ultimate gaslighting.
Ironically enough.
So who is the creator that dropped the G-Wagon on the house? Because I met someone who said they were a creator like that, and they were checking out the Cybertruck this weekend.
Yeah, it's Whistling Diesel. You can look it up. He calls them durability tests or whatever, and so he'll do multiple episodes if the car can last, and then he'll end it with something that just makes no sense. Like he dropped a Toyota Hilux from a helicopter from 200 meters or something.
And what does this person look like?
I mean, he's just a white guy, beard, brunette hair. I don't know how to describe him.
You're describing me.
No fucking way.
I attended a car show with the Cybertruck, and it got crazy amounts of attention, and it was just me, my wife and kids. They were out checking out the other vehicles, and at any given time there were 10 people around the Cybertruck. I couldn't talk to them all at the same time, but people were just blown away by it.
Yeah, Whistling Diesel's the guy that put the 10-foot diameter wheels on the Model 3 and then drove it upside down.
Imagine that for the Cybertruck.
That'd be harder because the all-wheel steering, they might, it would make it harder.
Yeah, true.
Magic Jack, did you get a chance to talk?
Oh, thanks, man. Well, I was just thinking, I'm going back a little bit about the stock price. This might be a little long-winded, but it's the stock has run up, 30 points or whatever it is. But if you zoom out, a couple of years ago, 2020, the stock price was still where we're at here. And if you look at all the advancements that the company's made, it looks very undervalued. But I'm just wondering if there's any short-term catalyst that I'm not thinking of that anyone else can think of besides, we talked about the voting date in June 23rd or whenever that is, the Model 3 performance, the new update Model 3, Cybertruck ramp. FSD obviously is what's kind of, overnight propping the stock up. I feel like FSD and other in other new markets. So I don't know if there's anything I'm missing. The only thing is I think when we come to Q2, I'm a little, that's when I think there'll be momentum going into Q2, but I'm a little bit iffy of what those numbers are going to be, and I think we could be. That's the only setback I think we might have up until you hit 8 again, and then the excitement goes till then. So I'm just curious what other people's thoughts are, and then my second thought is this is kind of random, but I was just thinking about Rivian, and if there's any value in Rivian at $9, because if I'm Rivian, I'm licensing FSD. I want to be the first person out there, the first manufacturer out there to
Okay.
license FSD.
Yeah.
I feel like that would help Rivian a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of covered the short-term catalyst. We talked obviously about FSD and some of the things you mentioned. Rivian is gonna die in a couple of quarters. Thanks. Thank you, JV, for becoming a member of our YouTube channel and for your super chats. Ellie, do you guys see Ellie's speaker? Go ahead, Ellie.
Yeah, hi. One quick question. So just about the vote, if I go and vote with whatever the board is recommending, it should be okay, right?
I mean, it's up to you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
up
but
to you how to vote.
if
Yeah.
I want to support the board, I should just vote whatever they support, right?
Well, obviously, yeah. So Omar just mentioned that the ballots. Omar, do you want to talk about that? You pinned something.
Yeah, the proxy ballot's starting to go out. So if you want to vote on Elon's compensation package and the new directors and everything, you'll probably be getting an email from your brokerage soon.
Okay. All right, great. Yeah. Bradford, what do you tell people when they ask you about Rivian?
Yeah, I just have a hard time seeing how they cut cost so drastically. Right now, they're losing $43,000 per car or something like that, and they're really not scaling this year. So last year they did 50,000 vehicles. This year they're saying they're going to do 57,000. So they're not like suddenly going to double production and get that kind of help to drop their costs. So I just have a really hard time seeing how they're going to drop their costs, by that much. Apparently it's going to be pretty drastic, but like I think it's extremely speculative to try and play it. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. All right.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think it's great. It's great. I mean, you said it. We said
I
the
just
same
think
thing.
they're
We're
way
saying
too
the same thing.
scattered. Like they're trying to do too many models, and that's not a way you reduce costs by
Have you ever
having it.
joined one of the Rivian spaces? Bradford,
What's that?
have you ever joined one of their spaces?
No, maybe I need to.
Oh, we have a new speaker coming up.
Hey y'all, I had a quick question.
Go ahead.
Caught my attention. I don't remember who said it, but about lithium burning faster, like the lithium battery, if it were to, catch fire. I've got a few friends that are firefighters, and they've told me that whenever a Tesla happens to just go up, you pretty much just sit there and watch it burn until it goes out. and there's really not too much that they have in terms of equipment or tactics to really combat those electric fires. So, how would one essentially get lithium to go to burn faster? And if it did, would it burn hotter? And would that risk damaging, concrete, etc.? And does anybody know of any like long-term plans to really help, you know, emergency services handle those kinds of situations when they do occur?
Meta.
There's a couple of ways they actually do fight fires. So most emergency departments should have more than just there's two ways you put out fires. There's chemical fire, and then there's a fire that's oxygen based. The ones that are aerobic, I think it's whatever it's called, the ones that are using oxygen, those are the ones that you put the foam on and you try to suffocate them. But you can't suffocate a chemical fire. For chemical fires, there are agents, catalysts that you can put on them that effectively strip the electrons out. It's like basically hungry for electrons, and so it'll just take all the energy and not cause a fire to occur. You could kind of think of it like spraying the car with liquid nitrogen will do the trick.
Interesting. Good to know. So if there was like so as the onset of EVs keeps continuing, it would behoove most fire departments to have these kinds of, you know, agents more readily available to stop this because I was wondering, like I've seen like the aftermath of, a lithium ion battery from a car that burned and it actually melted the concrete underneath. So if you get to it fast enough and you're able to, put one of these agents on there, it effectively neutralizes the chemical burn so that you would prevent all that damage and it wouldn't release all those extra toxins. Do I have that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's basic thermodynamics, right? You put something really cold on something that's hot, the heat transfers. So you just need to give the heat somewhere to go. Um, I think most fire departments should already have this stuff because think about what happens if a factory, a battery plant, or something else catches fire. There are many chemicals that we use, including that train that derailed, if you recall, right? So there's many times that chemical fires occur. Electric cars are not the first time.
Right. It was and so the fire department I'm speaking about is it's in Metro Atlanta, and he was saying that they don't have anything for it, but they have it at the airport at Hartsfield Jackson. So I know the airport has that and they're ready for it, but I imagine it's going to be something most fire departments are going to need to add to their budgets.
Omar.
So, first off, it's important to realize EVs actually catch fire 10 times less than gas cars. So, just right off the bat, you have a lot less things that catch fire. Gas obviously is explosive. A lot of things can go wrong when you have moving parts. I was just on the highway yesterday with Arash Minimal Duck, and we were driving to Napa, and there was some old, Cadillac or something on fire, and it stopped all of traffic. I actually got it on my dash cam, but these things are pretty normal. A lot of people like to bring it up as sort of an anti-EV thing, but gas cars actually catch fire quite a bit. Now, EV fires are a little bit different than gas fires. You can typically put out a gas fire just by sort of throwing water on it. It's relatively simple. So, with an EV fire, the other benefit about batteries versus gases, with gasoline, you kind of have an explosion. With EVs, when you have a thermal runway situation where essentially there's a short circuit in the battery that creates heat that starts melting the battery pack and then that starts a fire. It happens much more slowly, so you have the opportunity to get out and exit the vehicle carefully. The firefighters know where they can sort of cut the power to try and stop it, but you just need some different tools to handle this type of fire. Just throwing water on it, the fire may reignite, because if there's still that short circuit, so let's say there's a crash and that caused there to be an electrical short circuit, even if you pour water on it and put out the fire, if that electricity is still going, it's still going to cause heat and it could create another fire. So that's kind of the difficulty with batteries. So there's different tools that you need to deal with this, and the federal government has been working with fire departments across the country to educate them on how to deal with this and how to make sure they're handling it properly. There are some tools they have, such as you know, a special foam that's a flame retardant foam that also, blocks out electrical conductivity, and that can be helpful for that type of situation. So overall, much better situation for fire with EVs because they just catch fire a lot less, even with severe crashes. They're less dangerous for occupants because they don't explode. And firefighters, it's not true that they don't know what to do or they can't do anything. It may be the case that the Atlanta Police Department doesn't have the right materials or doesn't have the right education, but all across the country, fire departments are learning how to deal with this. And I live here in California where there's a ton of EVs. It's not really all the time. And it's not going to be something that, causes some mass destruction, despite the way, some sensational stories might want to paint it.
Kristen.
Yeah, I was just going to add with the advent of technology moving forward, you just have to adjust to these things as they come. Fire hydrants weren't everywhere on every city street, and they started using those and putting them out. But obviously, they know how to put them out, and so I think the fire stations are learning these methods as tech moves forward. That totally makes sense.
Bradford, LA, ACDC.
Yeah, I just don't see it as very relevant. They're extremely rare. The media likes to cover each one that happens. And so you think that they're more frequent than they actually are. I'm on my fourth Tesla. One fear that I had when I bought my first one would that it would catch fire in my garage while I'm sleeping at night. But EVs, the facts are that they're just extremely safe. They're much better in an accident. If you live in a house, it's a slam dunk to own them. They're just great. I love my Teslas, and another thing people talk about is, oh, the recycle. What about the batteries? Like they're highly recyclable at the end of life. They use metals in the batteries, and already they recover 95% of those metals. So like the same can't be said of the gas. Like once you burn the gas, it's gone.
So just like Meta said, as someone who been trained to fight fire, first respondent, because I work on boats, so you have different fire extinguishers. If you notice, you have A, B, C, E, or D on the fire extinguishing itself. It will tell you what kind of fire the fire extinguisher can fight, basically. And also, you should have a cable inside of every electric vehicle car that you should cut if you fight the fire, like the fire. If you're trying to extinguish the fire, you should cut a very specific cable. It has a sticker on it with scissors on the sticker. So if you have the time, you should cut it, and then you can try to fight the fire.
Yeah, man. I just wanted to share something that I saw on this a while ago. So there's new technology where they've come up with like a thick, I think it's made out of fiberglass tarp, kind of a blanket, and many fire departments have started purchasing it. And I think pretty much every fire department will own it. And the process is basically you take this blanket, you pull it, even if an EV is inside the garage, the EV is pulled out onto the driveway. They cover it with this blanket, and it literally suffocates any fire. So without any oxygen, the fire literally goes out. And while it's smothered, it's towed away and taken to the scrapyard or wherever and still kept smothered for an additional 24 hours just to be safe so that it doesn't reignite. But it's a very safe, and it's also actually pretty economical because I think the cost of it, at least from this company, was like $5,000, but it's completely reusable. So you don't need to use thousands of gallons of water, cause further damage. And it was a very innovative company that came around with this, and I think pretty much it'll be an easy solution that'll be used across the country with every fire department.
Thank you, ACDC. I think I've seen the video that you're talking about. Meta, do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't remember seeing anything about a blanket, but it could be possible. I just thought that chemical burns don't require oxygen because you can actually have fires underwater. People find that surprising, but it's true. I don't remember seeing anything about a blanket, but it could be possible. I just thought that chemical burns don't require oxygen because you can actually have fires underwater. People find that surprising, but it's true. You don't actually need oxygen in the air for a fire.
Yeah, magnesium can burn underwater. So you're right.
Omar.
So imagine if someone came to you and they said, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying a cell phone, but what's the fire department going to do if it catches on fire? What if I drop it on the ground and it explodes?" No, that's not a worry for people. I mean, it happens in very rare circumstances, but it doesn't happen. You put your phone by your head, you sleep next to it, you keep it right by your dick all day, and does it catch on fire? No. We're all okay. We're all talking on the phone right now. That battery in the car is the same exact type of lithium ion battery in all of our devices. If these things were catching on fire every time we dropped it, and people are dropping their phone all over the place. Imagine if every time someone dropped it, the phone would just ignite. It'd be chaos, right? Now, the batteries that we have in most EVs, the lithium iron phosphate batteries, are even better than the batteries in your phone in terms of being flame resistant. So they are not going to catch, they're extremely, extremely safe. Way better than gas cars, better than your phone. I mean, nobody here, I bet, has ever had their EV catch on fire. So, the whole conversation is really just a lot of the BS that we hear from people who don't want us to stop buying gas cars. I was with Arash yesterday. We went to this winery in Napa, and it was like Arash's uncle or something. And he said, "Oh, I've got a Cybertruck on order. I want to get it. I'm replacing our Land Rover." And he shows me this vehicle. It's from the 60s, and he turns it on and just smell all this exhaust. It's just filling the air. It smells disgusting. People start coughing, like Arash is coughing. And then he goes, "Okay, let's take a picture of it next to the Cybertruck." He pulls it forward, it breaks. The battery breaks, and now it's like stuck in the middle of the driveway. So we have to reverse out. My point is, we will look back at these gas cars and just think, why would we use this as a mode of transportation? This makes absolutely no sense, except for the fact that we're used to it. Lighting gas on fire and using that to get around. And people actually think this is a safer solution with regards to fire safety. Hey, I don't want a fire, so let me just put a bunch of explosive liquid in my car and drive around with that. So EVs, I think, are just the clear solution in so many ways.
Do you really sleep with your phone by your dick?
No, I'm talking about your pocket.
Oh, you said sleep.
No, I said, you fall asleep with your phone. Your phone's maybe near you at times in your bed, by your bedside table.
I don't know. It sounded
How
very
did that
deliberate.
get there?
Anyway, Nathan.
Yeah, something I'd like to add is EV batteries contain something like 25% the chemical energy of a gas tank. So even if they had none of these advantages that all the other people mentioned, all those great points, there's still way less energy to deal with.
Randy.
Recently, I had to sell my 2008 Model 3, and I brought my wife's Saturn Ore into the house. A gasket went bad on that gas tank, and it filled the entire garage with fumes, which, as we all know, the fumes light, not so much the gas. I walked out into that garage, afraid to open the door, turn on a light, anything, and got all the windows opened and got the Saturn order out of the house. And I don't ever want it back in. She's now driving a Y, and I have a Y and an S in the house, and I'll never put a gas car back in the house again.
Kristen.
Yeah, that seriously is a good point. I mean, the Teslas had the camp mode too, so you could sleep in the cars and not sit and give yourself carbon monoxide poisoning. But I was going to say my brother's car melted because a gas vehicle, an internal combustion engine next to it caught fire, and it took forever for the fire department to get there, and those burn quite hot as well.
Yeah. Actually, so just like we heard in US back in 2014, 15, 16, and then China in 2020, 2021, I feel like when Tesla just enters the country for the first year or two, these, FUD cycles restart. And when Tesla reaches a size of a fleet that's able to, number of customers, their friends and colleagues are able to fight back this FUD. For that period, we just hear this, fires or, autopilot taxes and this and that. I'm starting to get texts from my Turkish friends now about battery fires, which is really interesting because now this is my third cycle of going through answering battery fire questions, Anyway, Yoda?
Yeah, I think let's move on from the fire questions. It's FUD. From an owner's perspective, it's actually the most comfortable car you could get in, especially with summer coming up. It just before you enter your car, you can cool it down. In a winter, you can heat it up. So I don't know what everyone's so concerned about.
Dylan.
Oh, well, I was coming back up because my app bugged and I had to reset it.
Okay. Who are you?
What?
Omar, are you going to be on the Dan O'Dowd thing tomorrow?
Omar, are you there? Connection issues, probably. Yoda?
Who's Dan O'Dowd?
Nobody. Habib?
Yeah, I got a question for our friend Elon, who's on the space. Why can't the car automatically close the windows when it starts raining outside if your windows are open?
Does Taycan do that?
Wow.
I mean, everyone's talking about how amazing these Teslas are, and it can't even close the windows when it's just basically raining. That's some basic stuff, guys. Come on.
What if there's a
Which car
animal?
does that?
No, Habib, what if there's an animal in the car, or somebody's hand is on the window, or many other things that could happen? Maybe you have like a chair or some plasticky thing and it's going to get bent.
The car's windows do roll up whenever it locks, no? Mine does that.
I went to McDonald's earlier today, and I left my car on the driveway, and I had the windows down to just kind of air it out, and it just started raining. and the windows were down, and now my seats are wet, and I'm
On
just
on the
disappointed.
Taycan?
On the Tesla Model S Plaid.
Guys, we can't even get the wind.
Well, now that you say plaid, I now understand why your seats are wet. Have you?
Wow.
I was saying,
Wow.
can we first get the windshield
Yoda?
wipers?
Yeah, in the control, in your app, under controls, there's a vent button where you can roll up or down, but it's kind of hidden sideways in the app.
Habib?
Oh, sorry,
Okay.
backwards.
Zoltan?
I was just asking, can we get the windshield wipers first before we roll up the windows?
You know, when someone said windows up on rain, that's exactly where my mind went to do. Can you imagine if the windows just went up and down and went up and down?
I mean, the wipers are better, but I still have the dry wipes from time to time, so they're like, I don't know, 10 times better than they were, but I'm still struggling here.
We'll get there. Meta?
Habib, why were you rolling down the windows instead of using biodefense mode?
All right. 10 o'clock Central is my bedtime, guys. So why don't we kind of slowly make our closing remarks, and we'll have Stacy sing for us again. Yoda?
Yes. How many FSD subscribers at the end of 2024?
Meta?
Are we making closing responses, or am I responding to that?
You can respond. We'll go. I mean, we'll kind of keep it going until.
Well, my closing remark was going to be, did you hear about this brand new paper that you want me to go into detailed nuances about?
No, not right now. Actually, I have a question for you. So the Chinchilla paper you talked about is for LLMs. Do you think the scaling laws will hold for video as well? Do you see any risk there?
Personally, I believe they will. I think only constant factors, which are like in computer science, we throw those away because they're just like a one-time cost. It's like a fixed cost. You pay it and you're done. But yeah, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't hold. I think one thing that people often forget is with video or any other kind of input, it's only the first few layers that know it's a video. After that, the rest is deep reasoning, right? In your brain, you're not visually picturing where to send the car. You're thinking that through logically. Same thing is true with sentence construction or any other modality.
Okay. We'll talk about that more another time. Adrian, what's the so space tomorrow at 4:00 my time? What's on? What do you want to? What's the goal?
Well, the goal essentially is to just understand kind of Dano Dowd's position on what FSD seems to like. It basically what his understanding of FSD is, what exactly he thinks the problems are, and what his actual qualifications are as well. That I think is about as basic as I can make it. That's kind of what we're going to be getting into. We'll see how that takes shape, but that is the goal essentially, because we're addressing that, the FSD claims. This is bullshit.
Yeah. So I'll start my space at 2:00, and at 4:00 we'll head over to your space, and then we'll do a debrief after that space ends. Okay, great.
Yep.
All right. Well, on that note, let's give it to Stacy.
Okay, we're doing Just the Way You Are by Bruno Mars on this one. And
Perfect.
yes,
Thank you very much.
It is not me playing, but I just want to, it is me singing. So here we go.
Thank you very much. One of my favorite songs. Thank you, Stacy. And thank you very much, everybody. And I will talk to you all tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central, followed by Adrian's Space with Dano Dowd at 4 p.m. Central. Take care, good night, and chat next time.